0000000. I'm here with Gino.
Hey, Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player. Feeling like Pac. Represent. On my block. Try to knock me down, but I come up on top. Yeah, they wanna see me flop. Got a plot, want a lot. I won't stop on my pops. Got so many flows, it's insane. They don't really understand the game. Got a plan and it's plain, I ain't playing. I'm just trying to gain. I wanna get that big bag, need that D-Rex. Blow up Tic Tac with a blue cheese at. I don't give a fuck about your feedback. Eat that, get back, sit back, watch me spit that kickback. Got so many flows, yeah, they think that I'm insane. Ghetto kids in a lot of pain, all about the bills, ain't shit changed. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game, I'm a player. If you a hater, I don't hate you. I'm just really happy that I ain't you. I just wanna thank you. You kept me motivated, so now I motivate you. There's a lot of cake, money on my mind like a banker. Coming through with them bangers, ain't no room for mistakes. Lot of stake, hustle till we get a lot of rooms, lot of stakes. Good kid, but I keep it gangsta. All gas, no brakes. Got cash for the case. More cash in the case. More cash in the safe. More cash on the way. Hustling all day. Ay. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player.
Danger, coming with them bangers. Where my fucking paper.
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them two bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen them down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it now, I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, shit the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told him we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my taxi thorough. Way I'm shooting like step with my passes, bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in their fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told them I'ma get it and go. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made off the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And they tell me slow down, cause dog, I'm moving too fast. Might go and cop me a Tesla, cause dog, I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class. so put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream, and Bitcoin continuing the move down here, taking the lows once again. Got stopped out of my long position from yesterday. Actually at a loss. Usually we get stopped out in profit, but got stopped out at a loss in on that position. Actually in another scalp long. Profits locked in this time. So we'll talk about that, guys, as we take out the low here. Are we going lower? What are the top 3 biggest levels you need to be watching, as Bitcoin is right on track with what the charts were saying ever since $108,000. Are we closer to the bottom than we think? Can we get an early lackluster bear market to come in, or are we headed down for the traditional 70-ish% correction that we've seen in the previous 4-year cycles? We talked a little bit about that yesterday. We're going to cover it again in today's live stream very briefly, and then we'll watch the price action here. We'll see if we get anything, and I don't know. We'll see if we stop out of this scalp. We'll see if we get stopped out of this scalp long. Of course, still holding the shorts from $98,000 and $91,000, so those will continue to pay us out. How many lower lows can you go? Shout out to Chewy. Well, believe it or not, everybody always says, how much lower can we go? A lot of people coming in and be like, we can never break this level again. I'm like, oh, man, buckle up. I've thought that before in the past, too, and Bitcoin sometimes will break your heart. But I'll show you guys the biggest levels that I'm looking at. Obviously, we've been looking at the $70,000, 70 to 67K level, and we are creeping closer and closer to that. Are we eventually going to get that tapped? Let's see. We got Alex Martinez in the chat. Say, what's up, Frankie? We need you, bro. Good to see you again today, bud. Shout out to Alex. Welcome in, bro. Always happy to be here. We got Independent Crypto in the chat. Jesse, what is going on, man? Welcome in. We got Full Melt, Mike, Mystic, Ruin, New Earth, Guardian. Welcome in, guys. But we got a lot to talk about today, so I don't want to spend too much time here doing the housekeeping. So without further ado, shout out to Good or Dead. Is Bitcoin good or dead? That's the theme of this live stream, guys. We won't see 15K again. Yeah, I hope we don't see 15K again. I would think that's very unlikely. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into the chart. Let's get into it. Shout out to Rudy, says LFG 100x short. My shorts are not 100x, but they are up massively here. So obviously, guys, taking a look here at the higher time frames, we'll take off some of these key levels. Of course, right, I don't want to spend too much time on this. We've covered this a million times. A weekly money flow crossover into the red, as we saw this starting to creep out as we were breaking $108,000. We might actually go ahead and try to find some screenshots of previous live streams where we essentially just drew this exact structure. I did not think there was like a guarantee that we were going to see this exact structure like we saw back in 2021. Obviously, I would never just anticipate that to repeat. But of course, it is just literally repeating like it did in 2021. But obviously, guys, we have the massive bearish signals here. I think I want to talk a little bit about like the overall psychology of the market as well today, because I think a lot of people, we're very hopeful here for the higher low. Of course, the weekly money flow has a 100% hit rate, at least so far. There's only been 3 of them, right? So it has a 3 out of 3 hit rate. Now that we've seen this new low, we could say it's basically 4 out of 4. It's also indicated a continuation of capitulation to the downside. So are we going to see that next capitulation? Obviously, we anticipated this one. And charts just keeping us on the right side of these trades. Obviously, still holding my short positions here, up still 9,200. Not too much of a difference here as we're kind of hovering around the same levels, but up $9,200 on the one short. We got the scalp long over here on Feemax, up 833. We took this a little earlier today. I already got profits locked in on this. We'll see what happens. Maybe we stop out of this live on stream, but took that earlier this morning. And then, of course, we have the short over on Blowfin up about 12,300. So the beauty of being able to read the charts, guys, even when price goes down, we can make that money on the way down. Literally short from the tippy top here, the lower high, and even the $98,000 short, literally from the tippy top there as we were anticipating those lower highs and those lower lows to come. So nice there. Short still paying out and still able to make money on those little scalp longs. But, of course, in a bear market scenario, right, you do want to be greedy with those longs and very conservative with the shorts, hence why I already took some profit here. This was essentially just based off of, we were in the premium Discord earlier today, just kind of spotting the short squeezes on the order flow. And to be honest, like, we didn't even really see a ton of liquidations of the shorts, but we saw a ton of shorts piling in at the bottom. I don't know why people continue to want to short the bottom. But of course, we did see that in the charts. We looked to get in, as we had some very key levels that we were looking to break, about 72.6 to about $73,000. Once we were able to get above those shorts, it was likely to cause that pressure, giving us that pop to the upside. So just kind of a thought process there. Not a typical like SFP entry or anything like that. Just kind of looking at the order flow, anticipating that little pop to the upside for that tiny little scalp. But we'll see. Still holding a portion of this. If it wants to continue to run, we'll continue to profit off of it. But the real question here, guys, is, as we finally have taken out the lows here at 74,300, I think it's $38 is the exact level. Let me go ahead and pull that so I'm not making stuff up here. Taking out that low, $73,384. Are we going to get some kind of a relief bounce? I forgot who said it in the chat. Somebody was like, can we at least get some kind of a pity bounce? Market just feels bad for you. All right, we'll give you guys a little bit something there. But we'll talk about the idea of that potentially happening, guys. But overall, long term, what are we expecting? Obviously, we could see some kind of retracement come in. That's kind of what we're, the two kind of scenarios that we're looking for here is like, are we, going to get some kind of retracement here for some kind of a back test of these levels before rolling back over, or are we just going to kind of grind down? Are we going to have some kind of news event come in, just causing a continuation of just like a bigger capitulation to the downside? And, of course, our biggest levels, guys, we look at the lows here, we look at the lows here, we have the volume profiles, but overall long-term, when we look at the weekly time frame, understanding, we had the massive weekly bearish divergences. A lot of people wanted to ignore this, but, we'll never ignore this when we see it on the charts. Everybody's, all-time highs. I hate talking about the moves to the downside, guys. I really do just want to be the guy that comes up here and says, guys, new all-time highs, and we are that guy, when we want to call for it, right, when the charts are agreeing with that kind of sentiment. But when you see these massive bearish divergences, right, I gotta keep it transparent on the live stream here and let you guys know what's coming next. And shout out to everybody making money on the shorts. We were talking about that yesterday. Saving a lot of people. Not that you should ever listen to some crazy guy on YouTube, but able to kind of help people understand the charts and not only help people not have random senseless hopium for new highs to come, but also helping people make money on the way down. If you don't know how to make money trading Bitcoin, whether price goes up or down, you're in the right place right now to learn. So bear markets can just be another bull market, because if you make money on the way down, you can make money on the way up. Just flip the chart upside down. This is kind of like another bull market, just in the opposite direction. And of course, you can't profit off your spot bags, so it is a little nicer in a bull market. But of course, you don't have to leave, right? You don't have to leave crypto. As a matter of fact, I always tell people you want to double down on your research, double down on your attention here, because I think the psychology here is going to be, oh my God, we're losing the higher low, especially if we get another bigger drop to the downside here. This is where people are going to kind of finally accept, all right, fine, now we're in a bear market. Meanwhile, we've seen these warning signs for a while. This wouldn't necessarily be the start of a bear market, in my opinion. It would kind of be more towards the middle, or maybe even looking for that kind of final dump. And you guys know the biggest levels down below that we've been talking about literally ever since, being up here, if this case did play out, which unfortunately did happen. The big levels are sitting down here on our previous volume profile. The biggest levels down below, guys, very simple. Top 3 biggest levels to watch on your chart on the higher time frames if we do see this bigger dump, which of course the charts are pointing towards eventually, right? Like a little, a retracement here could be sizable if we do end up getting it, right? Oh my God, we're up 18%, right? But not every pump is bullish. We got the rip up here, 20%, right? A 20%. This is technically bullish because you're kind of going up. But of course, in the grand scheme of things, you are looking for those lower highs and lower lows, able to catch the shorts from the top. And the money flow is the big thing there, right? The money flow is kind of like a filter, letting you know if you should be looking for longs for massive new all-time highs, or if you should be looking at those pushes up as lackluster retracements to then fade those highs and get in on the right side of the trend. Very, very simple way to look at the chart. Not that we only use this, but it's a very nice filter to kind of let you know the overall sentiment of the market, especially on a higher time frame. And on the weekly specifically, every money flow crossover on the weekly has indicated, right, big capitulation incoming. And to be honest, as someone who stares at the charts all the time, right, like literally almost 24/7, it's not oftentimes that you see things just play out exactly like it has in the past. But this is the case here. And of course, that weekly money flow is a big warning sign, right? We talked about the red dot printing, the money flow crossing over, rare bearish sign flashing. warning, 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 and here we are, right? But this is going to be the biggest level to the downside, guys. Number one, of course, $70,000 all the way down to the POC at about 67,340. And this is, I'm not going to say I'm super confident that like this is going to be the bottom of the bear market, but this is kind of the next real horizontal support that we have, right? All the confluences we had here we were looking at, none of them offered support. And, below this low, there's really not much here unless we just kind of get a fake out of the low. If we pull up the weekly, right, like maybe we get like a candle closure above here, we can get a little fake out of the low here at $74,384, and then like maybe that could trigger some kind of a retracement. But at the end of the day, right, like the real horizontal levels are sitting down here, 70,000 to 67,300, and that's kind of the first place, right? Like, of course, we could come down here. We could get some kind of a reaction. We will be looking for long positions here, whether it's just for a retracement and lower prices to come, or if that ends up just being the bottom. I don't have, like, super high hopes, guys, that we're just going to kind of, like, shoot down here, and, like, that's the bottom all-time highs. It's just not my base case. But it is the first major level where I will be interested in starting to kind of switch from like, oh my God, from 108K, are we going to see the beginning of the big capitulation, to kind of like maybe we could start to entertain the fact of like, I've been calling it like we'll be on bottom watch, right? We talked about the two kind of major scenarios that we could see play out here. Maybe if we did see a little bit of a shallower bear market, right, maybe we could potentially come in here. If we lose that $67,300 POC, of course, that is going to indicate, right, we're getting accepted into value, head straight back down towards the value area low. We've been oftentimes recently covering the MicroStrategy chart, which obviously is in the same exact scenario as Bitcoin, right? And, Bitcoin has followed MicroStrategy in the past. Here's your upper value, same thing as Bitcoin, right? You have the lower value down here. Lose the value, price seeks out the next area of fair value, right? Once you lose that point of control, you are headed down towards that value area low. So almost the exact same kind of scenario there, same structure. There's your value. Here's your value. You lose the value, headed on down towards previous value. If you lose that POC, you could head down towards that value area low. So I will say, like, I do think, for me personally, I just don't want to like give people too much hopium. I wouldn't necessarily anticipate just to like V bottom here and then V-shaped recovery and get the big push to the upside. But this is kind of the first area I'd be interested in potentially looking for, more macro bottoms. And like I think in the best case scenario, right, we come down. We talked about this yesterday. Kind of retest the all-time highs. Deviate below the high like we did in 2022, kind of the same thing, $20,000, deviate below the low, start to see those massive technical confirmations, and then, maybe we could start to look for a potential bottom to come in. Now, of course, it doesn't have to do something like this, right? Could spend some time down there, but this would be kind of the best case scenario, the least painful scenario. Of course, I don't know if this is going to happen, but once we come down here, we'll have a clear view on the chart, and, we'll be able to see some of those signals. If the chart looks really good, right, we'll have a high probability scenario of this happening. If the charts look like trash, we'll have a higher probability scenario of seeing something like this with lower highs and lower lows. So that would kind of be the best case scenario. And then, if we end up losing a very, very key level of support, I think I have this level on the chart. Maybe we don't. Let me just pull this live. We'll do it. F it, we'll do it live. There we are. So, underneath this value area, the next big zone to look at is going to be between about $55,000 and $47,000. And, this could act as backup support if we deviate below this value area low. But I would say the line in the sand here is if we start losing 47K, guys, money flow is still in the red on the weekly. It's not looking good. We're not getting any bullish confirmations. We start to lose that POC, just like in here, losing the $67,000 POC would bring us to the low. I would anticipate this to be a large line in the sand. And then once we lose that 47K level, that is where, we would start to look down more towards a traditional bear market to play out, where you see that, 70+% correction to the downside. This would give us about a 75% correction, also giving us kind of the it would also agree with kind of the logarithmic regression of the pumps and the dumps getting less severe, 77% in the previous cycle, 75%, right? Again, if it just repeats one-to-one like the previous cycles have, this would be like the traditional path. And it does make sense, right? 75% would bring us right down to this major key level. I prefer not to see that, obviously. This is not necessarily my base case. I'm a reactionary-based trader. If the charts look good here, I'll be open to looking for the bottom. And, of course, if it looks bad, guys, I'm going to have no choice but to come up here and be like, hey, guys, same thing we talked talked about here. If it looked good, we flipped market cipher B upside down. I showed you guys what I would want it to look like here if I wanted new all-time highs. But of course, we literally had to invert the indicators, change the color of the money flow, which obviously was not the case, right? So, if we come down here and it looks terrible, I'll have to talk about that. If it looks decent and we could look for some bottoms, we will. But that would be kind of the best case scenario. And then, both of them are in play. We just don't know what's going to happen if we come down here. We don't know how long we're going to spend. We don't know if we're going to get the retracement. So we'll kind of cover that level to level. But those are kind of like the main scenarios. If you're just here for like the long term, you're looking for spot buys, this is kind of the first area where I would be interested in looking for bottoms, right? And again, the retest of that previous all-time high, very similar to what happened in 2022, right? Here is your all-time high. You deviate slightly below it, massive bullish divergences, money flow starts coming back up. There's your signal, right? You also got the, percentage correction that you would expect. And then boom, right? Bull market. So there you go, right? And the psychological part I want to talk about is, of course, right, like I think a lot of people are going to feel like if we get that next capitulation, like now the bear market is just starting, where that is, you are kind of in danger of potentially kind of being late to the party, right? It's like the same thing that happened in 2021. Everybody was super bullish, I guess super bullish, right? If you're calling for 100K, I don't know how you don't call that super bullish. Higher low, looking for the higher high. Of course, we understand that not all higher lows are created equal when your massive trends, massive bearish confirmations are on the chart. But at this point, we get the big capitulation down. People are like, all right, now we're in a bear market. Let's look down towards 3K. And then they're late to the party, right? You do not want to be on that side of the kind of crowd, right? So it could be a very similar thing, right? People start to feel bearish here, but what they don't understand is like they were late to think that this was a bear market, right? We've been in a bear market. So you got to be really careful about that. And of course, if we see those signals, we'll have to call for them to bring it lower, right? If we see those signals. And again, like even then, that still wouldn't really be the start of the bear market, right? And another thing here is a lot of times, I have to come up here, and oftentimes, like when we're looking for higher prices, people are like, "You're an idiot. We're down 30%. How could you be looking for new highs?" And it's like, well, we just understand how to read the charts. I've been in crypto for many cycles now. I've been around. I understand how bear markets work. I understand how market sentiment works, the psychology works, and usually you're kind of calling against the crowd, right? Oftentimes when you're right, you are going to be calling against the crowd. So, I would say, if we came down here, right, and everybody's super bearish, right, and then we see the bullish confirmations on the chart, they're thinking the bear market's just starting, and we're scratching our head looking at the chart being like, I don't know, this chart doesn't look that bad. People are like, we're going lower. People are screaming, all the bearish news, the bearish narrative, oh my God. And then you're kind of like in the opposite direction, right? It's like, I think we could be looking for bottoms here, guys. And then people are like, you're crazy. And then, more often than not, you will see that play out. So, we've just seen it play out, time and time again. So just be prepared for that. I've gotten you guys prepared for that kind of psychology in the past. But we'll see, right? If we come down here, people are super bearish, and the charts are super bearish, I will still just stick with the charts. I don't mind agreeing with the crowd as long as the charts are on the side of the crowd. A lot of people ask me here, like, I think a lot of people, I don't know. I personally think there was a lot of hope here, right? Higher lows, hidden weekly bullish divergence, which is not wrong, right? Like this was a hidden weekly bull div, this was a higher low, but of course context is always going to be king. That's how we were able to stay on the right side of this. So I kind of feel like more people were hopeful here, but a lot of people are like, everyone's bearish here, everybody's looking at the bear flag. Like, doesn't that make you worried that it's not going to play out? And at the end of the day, right, it's not really the bear flag that makes me bearish. It's like the massive high time frame confirmations. It's the money flow. And if the masses think it's bearish and the charts are bearish, well, hey, the masses aren't always wrong, right? So whether the masses were more bearish or bullish here, the charts just wound up playing out. So I'm kind of binary to the technicals, to be quite honest. And more often than not, I've never really listened to the charts and looked back and been like, man, I should have listened to the crowd, right? So there you go. Let's see. So in your opinion, what is the highest probability bottom for now? It's just too soon to call for it, right? If we come down here, right, really depends on what the charts look like if we start bing-bonging around in this profile, right? Are we just going to come down, get a massive weekly bull div, right? Or are we going to come down, kind of play around at the top, then get a capitulation, right? Deviate back in. Are we going to bing bong around in that range? It's just too soon to tell, right? I need to know what the charts look like in here to kind of give the higher probability scenario. We need more information, and when we come down here, there will likely be signs, right? If it looks like trash, it'll look like trash. It was kind of the same thing here. It's like we were able to kind of predict with the weekly money flow coming out that I kind of talked about, like if we get down here, it's going to be really hard for me if I have to kind of guess what the chart's going to look like down here. I assume money flow will continue to trend out. At that point, it's going to be really hard for me to argue all-time highs. But we didn't know that was going to be the case technically until we got down there. We wound up being right about that because the money flow just kind of trends. But we just don't know, right? If you want to go, one thing you can say is the 4-year cycle would kind of, right, like on the side of the 4-year cycle, right, you would kind of anticipate the 75% correction does make sense, right? But I'm not going to get caught off sides just listening to, the 4-year cycle has to play out if I see the signals down here, right? So it's an if this, then that, right? Like this is the first zone I'll be looking, and then the second zone will be between 55 and 47, and then once we lose that, I'd say probably the value area low around 30K is probably going to be likely. And that wouldn't be super shocking, right? It would just be like another exact replica of a previous cycle. So if you want to say that's the higher probability because history would repeat, that's possible. But that could change if the charts look really good in here. We just have to wait to see. You don't know what's going to happen, right? If we get a retracement, we could bing bong around up here for a little bit. A bunch of time goes by. Money flow continues out. Right? Then we get one more capitulation. This money flow comes out a little bit more. If we're down at these lows and this money flows in a nice red wave for a decent amount of time, we see the bull divs, we start pushing up, this money flow comes up, right? Well, at that point, the higher probability scenario becomes coming up from here. So we'll see, right? Really hard to put like the higher probability on it right now. We just need more information. It's what you call a bear market trap, and it's massive, and I love it. Yeah, I think you're talking about, like, coming down here and then bada boom, right? Little bear market trap, or are you talking about coming down here, trapping, and then coming down? Either one could play out. I'm pretty much a fake-out trader or a trap trader. So either way, right, up or down, we'll be able to make money. Let's see. Yo, shout out to BTC Bill. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Dropping the Frankie Candles memberships. Come on, baby. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Shout out to BTC Bill. Let's get it. 20 Frankie Candles memberships. Unbelievable. Drop that golden emoji if you just got a membership, guys. Show BTC Bill some love in the chat. These are not cheap, guys. Those are not cheap. Shout out to BTC Bill. You are like endlessly generous, bro. He's like he's like a mini golden, bro. Shout out to you, man. I am grateful for you. I know the Mafia is as well. Show some love. Drop those golden emojis. Start that golden waterfall. Golden waterfall. Sorry, I just default to that term. Shout out to BTC Bill, bro. Making money on the shorts, BTC Bill? Is that what's going on here? BTC Bill. Shout out to Ricardo said BTC never falls deeper than the last bull cycle. 55 to 60K is the bottom. Hopefully, right? I mean, that would make sense. I think the deterministic of will be 100%. It's a very dangerous mindset to have. Trust me, I know this from experience. But it would make sense, right? I mean, technically, we have fallen below the all-time highs previously, but they're usually just in this case, it was just a fake out. We could come back here, right? Didn't even retest it. So yes, it we never really like decisively lose it, but you can slip below it, which would make sense, right? Because if we come down into the POC of this range, let me go ahead and pull that volume profile real quick. Bada boom. Well, this is on the Bitstamp chart, so I have to move it a little bit. $47,000 would allow you to slip below it just a little bit, like even coming into 59K. Right? Again, 70 to 59K is that first major volume profile. So if you did come down, again, that's kind of why I would be, interested down here. I would not be shocked if you get the bullish confirmations here, slip the all-time high slightly, and then get the move up. But this, if we don't, you have to think to yourself, if that doesn't happen, right? There's no guarantee this is going to happen. If that does not happen, right, well, probably the higher probability scenario would be to potentially go below. Just because it hasn't happened in the past or hasn't really happened this drastically in the past does not mean that it can't happen in the future, right? Like there's nothing, again, everybody thought 50-week moving average has to get tapped, right? Like there's no guarantees. Although it's happened in almost every other cycle, doesn't mean it has to happen in this one, right? But yeah, I think that would make sense. Shout out to Ricardo. Yeah, shout out to Ozgun said, Frankie, weekly SFP possible since the April low was very long time ago and momentum waves for the weekly. Shout out to Ozgun. Yeah, we kind of talked about that. If we do end up closing the weekly candle above here, you could look at that as a weekly SFP. That's kind of your only option to get the bounce before 70,000 to 67K. So we'll see, right? Again, we have 4 days and 4 hours for that candle to move around, right? So you got plenty of time for this candle to come down, come back up. Something I would look for. It's kind of similar to previously when we look at this 786, right? I forget what day it was, but when we came down to this, right, we were kind of like pushing back up. And it's like, if we close the weekly candle above that 786, you could argue the 786 is holding, but we had like 2 days left for this candle to print, right? So plenty of time for that to come down. So it's something you would look for, but a lot of time, right? Like if you don't close it up here, right? If you have 2 days, there's plenty of time for it to come down. So same thing here, right? You have 4 days, plenty of time to come down. But I would say, like, even if you get above it, right, you could still get above it, hold it for a couple of days, and then eventually come back down. So you would have to see what that candle closure is like in 4 days. But yeah, I would say, that could be a weekly SFP. And then that could be a fake out of the low and then a bigger push up. But again, right, like all the confluence, come on, TradingView, right, sitting down here. So it would be really nice to see these levels tapped. Really hard for me to say, like, this is the bottom, right? This is the bottom. We're going to all-time highs. Like, I think this is a very low probability scenario to just, like, come up this fast into all-time highs, especially as history just repeats. We always cover a lot of these scenarios, like, could this happen? Could that happen? Like, I have the base case of, like, what we think is going to happen, right? And it takes time, right? It gets very sketchy. It's like, oh, my God, we're bouncing. Oh, my God, 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 right? But the long-term scenario does end up playing out. Ever since 108K, this was lower probability, lower probability, lower probability. And, of course, that winds up being the case. So we'll see. But, yeah, the weekly SFP could be something to look for a fake out of those lows, 100%. Let's see. ETH, yeah, we could take a look at ETH in just a second. No short-term bounce, so short-term here. It's just really difficult, right? Because unless we can reclaim decisively, again, the low here, I would say, like, this is the biggest level to flip. And then, like, above that, right, for a bigger retracement, probably 80,500. We got to get back above this level and claim it, right? If we can do that, maybe if we could see the daily candle close up there, maybe we can get a little retracement. But, like, when I pull up the local price action, right, it's, like, really hard for me to, like, look at the supports that we have down here, right? Because there just, like, isn't any. Doesn't mean you can't just necessarily get a bounce. But, like, it's like if we were tapping into, like, maybe like a daily, a weekly, a monthly MPOC in here, and then, like, we see bullish divergences, right? If you look here at the 80-minute, like the 1 hour, right, you have bull divs confirmed. It's just like we're not into a major key level. We're kind of just hanging out, number one, where we have no real levels. Again, the next big levels are sitting down here. And on top of that, right, we've taken a look at the visible range volume profile a lot recently. And when we look at the visible range, just looking at the volume altogether, right, like what did we talk about when... It's like really crazy, guys. If you watch this channel, like this would not be a big shock. Once we lost the lows here, right, very dangerous because we had confluence at these lows. If that wasn't going to hold, there really was not a lot underneath us from a horizontal perspective, right? We had one last level here around 78,550. But even then, when you look at the volume, the high volume nodes act as magnets for price. The low volume nodes or low volume gaps, typically price moves very quickly through those. So we talked about, like, once you lose these lows and the low at 80,500, you're in a perfect environment to get a fast drop down through the gap. And, like, I think this is the easiest and simplest way to look at the market because, like, you don't even really need to know why this works or why it happens. You could just look at it from a visible perspective. It's like price will hold. I'm like, look at this. Where's our next level of support? Massive high volume node. And we are starting to tap into the shelf here. So, but from a horizontal perspective, there's no dailies, there's no weeklies. I don't want to say you can't bounce here. Of course, I am holding the scalp long. I don't really have super high hopes for it. And I already have the profits locked in. That was looked at as more of a scalp. If it wants to turn into a bigger swing trade, that's great, but I'll let that hit me by surprise. And then if I stop out, right, we'll still make money, and then the shorts are going to continue to pay out from the highs here. So, but like when you fall through these low volume gaps, lose 80,500 was really the last level. Like you're in a beautiful environment to get the fast drop down, and you could not ask for that to have played out more accurately, right? And it's not like super like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. It's just like kind of what you would expect, right? Fast move up oftentimes equals fast move down, right? And in this case, right, the reason that these lows were a worry for getting the fast move down through the low volume gap, when price goes into a low volume gap, it's going to get attracted to the highest or the area of the fairest value down below, which sits right here. And on top of that, right, you might say like, well, back here, why wasn't that a worry? Well, it was, right? Back here, we still had these levels on the chart. But the difference here was we did have massive support there, right? What did we have? Well, you know, just from a simple perspective, on top of like key Fibonacci levels, we had the 50-week moving average, aka like the bull market support, sitting right there. And then we got massive bullish confirmations. Your money flow comes back into the green. Many reasons to look for a new all-time high, which we were and we got. But this case, very different, right? You're below the 50-week. You've lost the 100-week. You're below all your massive supports. And then you obviously have that low volume gap, making it very likely to fall through. Doesn't mean it was impossible to fall through here, but obviously in a much more bearish scenario here, right? Like this context and environment is different than this context and environment, right? You're pushing in to major support with massive confirmation, with money flow coming back up into support, new high. Here, no massive bullish confirmations, no real support. You have the 100-week, which is why, again, that was kind of the big level of support, right? Saying like, you know, if you're going to bounce, you got to bounce off that 100-week. I'll even pull it up here for you guys. You know, that was kind of the last level, right? Lose the 100-week, nothing underneath you, right through the gap. Very simple way to view the market. And you look in the past, it's always been the same thing. You lose the 50-week, you bounce between the 100-week and the 50-week. You lose the 100-week, massive dump to the downside with your weekly money flow crossover into the red, right? Like many reasons to look for that to be the case. It's happened in every single cycle. I won't like bore you, but you know, you can see it here. Between the two moving averages, lose the 100-week, money flow in the red, big capitulation. So, you know, it's that's how we're able to predict that stuff, right? Not just because of the past, but just the way volume works. So, yeah. Yeah, shout out to Guardians of the Epstein FUD right on time. Yeah, potentially. It is, you know, again, one of the big things is like there was no bearish narrative here. Higher lows, no bearish narrative, right? Like the masses love to say like, there's no reason to be bearish here, right? Well, other than the charts, they just ignore the massive bearish confirmations. But they're like, there's no bearish news, there's no bearish narrative. And I think maybe if we can get another bearish narrative to continue the capitulation, this is where the psychology comes in. And again, if we get a retracement, guys, like, you know, 85 to 86K is going to be massive resistance, not only from a horizontal resistance perspective, right? You basically have the 100-week moving average sitting there. You also have a bunch of confluence sitting up there. Pull up the daily MPOCs, right? You obviously have resistance before that. But up here, like, you know, $86,000, you have Fibonacci retracements, you have your NPOC sitting there, clusters of confluence. This is where you have high probability reactions, right? You got one here, you got a little 2 MPOCs here, and then up here, you have more, right? Like these would be the biggest levels of resistance. But when I look at it from a volume perspective, right, very simply, take those levels off the chart, right? You just want to look at it from a kind of like bare bones perspective. If you just kind of draw this from like, you know, again, very like elementary, just like you don't understand any TA, you're just looking at these as like ceilings and walls and these as just like massive holes. Price comes up, you retest the high volume area, 86-ish K, and then you fall back through, and then maybe you get gravitated towards the highest volume node down here, which is 59K, which is, of course, the value area low of that macro range, right? So the, you know, many reasons, right? It's not just one thing. But, of course, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll watch the lower time frames here. We'll see if we can get some support, but, you know, I wouldn't say it's beautiful. You know, I wouldn't say, like, massive bullish confirmations. You know, you got the daily trying to print a green dot here, but, again, like, you have an inverted VWAP. Money flow is crossed over into the red. Like, it's just not perfect, right? If we were to invert this, right, again, this is not what the chart looks like. I'm literally changing the colors of the indicator to like make it look like what you would want to see, right? If we had a move down here, massive bullish divergences, and money flow was crossing green, well, then I can say, hey, we have a bullish confirmation down here. We got money flow coming up. Maybe we can continue a bigger trend to the upside. That would make it high probability, but we just don't have that. Doesn't mean it can't come in, right? But like when you're looking from a high probability perspective, that's why I'm not like super confident in the long. If it plays out, great. If it doesn't, I get stopped out. I'll still make money because I have my profits locked in. Shorts will continue to pay. But long term, I do have to say, like, be very hard for me to say, like, this is the bottom, right? Like, we don't really have any, like, massive confirmations. Like, one thing we can look for here is, like, maybe you get a weekly bull div. We'll see what happens over the next couple of days. But even that, I'd like to see those bull divs. It's not even really that pretty, to be honest. Like, super aggressive angle. You're not at support. Even if you push in here, it's like a super aggressive angle, and your money flow is coming out. Like a bull, if we did get that bull div, I would still, based off money flow, have to be looking at that as a lower high and a lower low. Hopefully not, right? Of course, I would hope that this thing just yeets to the upside. But from a low time frame perspective, it's like, one thing we were looking at yesterday to see our long continue to play out, the long that I was talking about, or that I entered on the live stream yesterday, or sent a text message. If you guys were here, you were here. Was one of those things we wanted to see was the 4-hour bull div. And it just didn't give us anything, right? Wound up taking a loss on that trade, right? I don't get stopped out in profit every time. I took a loss on that one. No big deal, right? Shorts continued to play out, controlled loss. But, maybe we get another 4-hour bull div here. It's just, we're in a bearish environment, right? Like anytime you're in a bearish environment long-term or high time frame, you want to be more greedy with the shorts and more conservative with the longs. Again, like, technically I could have closed this on the live stream last night for like $1,400 or whatever it was. But in a bearish environment, right, it's like not shocking to see the bull divs not play out. It's not shocking to see your money flow spend more time in the red and less time in the green. So again, it is important to understand the environment that you're trading. It doesn't mean you can't make money on the longs. You just have to understand that those longs, like even at 85K, we took a long here, bada boom, right, held it, bada bing, right, beautiful long position through the volume profile as we typically look at, right, longs at the lows, shorts at the highs, literally long the low, made nice money, right? And that's bullish, right? From a low time frame perspective, yes, this is bullish. On the daily, money flow is coming up. I'm looking for high, higher low, higher high, continuation of the trend. That is bullish in the context of the daily. That does not step on the bearish weekly outlook, right? Which is why when we got that push up, we were very keen on looking for the shorts at 98K, which I just showed right here, right? So you just kind of, the context is very important. You don't want to just like try to keep like gig along in the lows for massive moves up if you know that you're in a bearish environment. You can still make money. You just have to understand the context, and the money flow will let you know if you should be, looking for this long to be a massive new all-time high, or if you should be looking for this to be a lackluster bounce, a lower high and a lower low. I cannot stress that enough. It's a very simple filter to be looking at on the charts to keep you on the right side of the trend. And of course, you use stuff just like market structure in general, but this is just like a very easy, clear way to look at it. Shout out to Highly Trained, said same thing on the Trump pump. Bear divs got stepped on the way up. Yeah, absolutely, right? It would be the same thing on the way up in a massive bull market. Of course, you can look at bearish divergences and short them, right? Like, for example, right here, ETF approval, bearish divergence. We actually shorted this in the context, right, of our volume profile. And this is where my job gets a little bit hard, right? Because people will say, how are you taking a short? We're in a bull market. And it's like, well, I'm not shorting this, anticipating this thing to melt down gigantically, right? We're just looking for shorts back into the range, back to the value area low, potential deviation, but just in general, right? Your idea is to just kind of revert to the mean. Overvalued price, undervalued price. Undervalued price, right? But in a bull market, that bear div does play out, right? And this was a daily bearish divergence. Lower highs, higher highs. That is a bearish reversal signal. But a bearish reversal isn't always bear market, right? You're just looking to catch that short. And then actually when we deviated below the low, we actually ended up taking the long. And we actually wound up taking profits and holding that long all the way up to into the 70s, right? Because we know we're in a bull market. We understand money flow is coming back up. The trend is likely to continue. But of course, this bear div is not going to do what you would expect it to do in a bear market, right? In a bull market, a bear div will bring you down, but of course, it's going to be the same thing I'm just talking about, which is lackluster, higher low, higher high, right? In a bear market, You might have bull divs, for example, the weekly hidden weekly bullish divergence. Sure, that's a bull div. You get a little bit of a bounce, but lower high and lower low is the higher probability. So yeah, you want to treat bull divs and bear divs differently depending on the high time frame context 100%. Shout out to FOVPYT. I don't know how to say that. But he said, Frankie, did you scalp long any of the low time frame divs today? Shout out to you, brother. I did take a scalp long earlier today. It was not in the context of the divergences, but we were actually taking that off of the idea of the order flow. But I did take a scalp long. I am still holding it here over on Femex. Got profits locked in, still got 785 unrealized. So yes, I am in a scalp long as well. But of course, right, like this is why it's, a lot of people just tune in and be like, he's long, I'm going to go long, right? But of course, context is going to be king, right? This stops out, I'll still make money. But yeah, I did take a scalp long. It wasn't based off the divs though. We were looking at the order flow to anticipate that push up. It was literally like crazy. I like drew the line on the chart. I was like, hey guys, we break this level, you might be able to see the pop to the upside. And it was like a 1-to-1 mirror of what price ended up doing. Let me see if I can actually pull this up. Where's it at? Yeah, here it is. Right, I don't want to leak too much here, but of course, right, letting people know, like, this is the box. We got a ton of shorts entering at the low. If we wind up pushing up here, we might be able to create some pressure and get the squeeze to the upside, right? Bada boom, break up, push up, bada boom, break up, push up, right? That's like the beauty of being able to see inside the candles. But that was kind of what we were basing that off of. I'm not going to go into like a full detailed explanation of that, but the low time frame bull divs were not really a part of that. Let's see. Yeah, I remember that. Those bearish divergences after the ETF getting stepped on tripped me out. Yeah, of course. Like, context is king. And I never. It's why when people come in and they say, anytime we took a bunch of shorts in the bull market, a bunch of shorts, right? We shorted this. We shorted up here. We shorted up here. I could actually pull up. I don't know if they used to go all the way back there. Yeah, I don't know. These all got deleted, but I do save all of our trades, winners and losers. Most of the trades when I remember to drag them in there, I try to save them, right? But other than just like being able to hold from the lows and like make money on your spot bags, like there's so many opportunities in here, not just longs. Of course, you're going to be able to take longs and hold the longs longer in a bull market because you're going to be greedy with the longs, conservative with the shorts. But there's shorts in here too, right? You could take this short in a bull market, right? People be like, why are you shorting in a bull market? That's so stupid, right? But like the targets for that are to come down to the value area low, where oftentimes we're flipping long to ride it back to the upside. So there's tons and tons of opportunities, and we shorted a ton in this bull market, and people will be like, why are you shorting in a bull market? And like that base idea is like, I get it. Like, you don't want to like just like we're not always trying to short the top, right? Like, we just see an opportunity to maybe catch a day trade or a scalp. Like, sometimes it's a 5-minute scalp. You can't even see the move down on a higher time frame. But you could totally short, right? But the context is important. We understand the context. When we short, it's not like we're shorting for a massive dump necessarily. We're just shorting to look for the next key levels, and then keeping the overall context of the market in mind. And that's kind of what helps you be able to bing bong the chart up and down, make money short long, while your bags are printing money on the way up. Your spot bags, that is. So shout out to Jay Pimmon. I don't know if that was correct, but thank you for the super chat, bro. He says, can you look at Riot stock? I need a bounce to exit. Shout out to Jay Pimmon. Yeah, I'll try to take a look at Riot. Quick reminder, super chats are not guaranteed that we'll look at your altcoins, but I will try to take a look at Riot for you, brother. Let's see. The short from the 70s was a banger too. It dumped all the way down to 50K. Yeah, of course. Like, there's tons of opportunity. Like, we made a ton of money on the shorts there. We made a ton of money on the longs too. Maybe the longs outweigh the money we made on the shorts because when you're in a bull market, you'll get more runners. But yeah, I mean the 70K wound up dumping down all the way here to like 50K, right? And like, again, right, like take a short here, you could close the whole trade, right? You could take a short here, you could close the whole trade. Or if you understand your money flow is in the red, right, again, even on like a daily time frame, if your money flow is in the red, you could be anticipating a lackluster bounce, a lower high and a lower low to continue the downtrend. Where's that lower high likely to come in at? Probably into your 786 retracement, right? So you can look and your value area high. You can look for a new short, or you can short here, take profits, stop loss at break even, and just hold, right? Maybe sometimes you get stopped out at break even, but yeah, like tons of, I mean, that is a, 31% short. Right? It's absolutely beautiful. But you have to understand the context, right? A lot of people would be like, short it to zero, and then they just try to hold their short thinking it's going into a bear market without understanding, and they're like, what happened? We came back up. And it's like, well, we're in a bull market, right? It's very hard to explain sometimes. Shout out to TDK. Thank you for the super chat. Says, fib from the 6th of September to all-time high. Decent golden pocket, in your opinion? Let's see. All right, so there's the all-time high. I assume yeah, I would assume you're probably thinking this fib from here to here, maybe. TDK, if you're talking about the September 2024, I would say that is valid. Technically, I would probably be more inclined to pull it from the low here. But if you pull it here, it's it's technically a swing low. 786 comes in on the value area high. Where I would not pull this fib is like this, obviously. I doubt that's what you're looking at. But yeah, I would say if you're looking at the 786 popping in on that value area high, yeah, that would be a valid fib. But of course, it's confluent with our next key levels anyway. So whether you're looking at that or not, you still have those key levels down there. Great question. All right, let's see here. Yeah, after we broke 100K, there was a $13,000 drop. Yeah, there's always opportunity, right? You're just trading the volatility. That's all we need as traders, right? And I always try to be very, sometimes people, when they say, like, why are you shorting in a bull market, I have to explain to them, like, I'm a trader, right? Like, just because I'm shorting doesn't mean I'm, like, bearish on Bitcoin forever. I am long-term bullish on Bitcoin, guys. I think Bitcoin up and to the right over time. Of course, not financial advice. I could be wrong about that. But I'm long-term bull on Bitcoin, right? Like, I was bearish here, too, right? We were in the same exact scenario. People hated me here, right? Bear market incoming, guys. Very likely. Same exact thing here. And even 108K. I didn't have my channel back here in November in the previous cycle. Otherwise, I probably would have been saying that. But we started here, right? We're talking about, hey, looking like the bear market's incoming. That did not mean I think it was going to go to zero forever. I was obviously buying the lows, looking for another new all-time high. Long term, right? If you hold long enough, in my opinion, if you have a long enough outlook, right? People will, yesterday someone was saying they wanted to pick up spot Bitcoin here. Like, I would never say, oh, you're an idiot. You're buying in a bear market, right? Or you're buying when we're dumping. At the end of the day, as long as you have a long-term outlook, maybe you're not, I never recommend trying to snipe the bottom with your entire bag, right? But if you're dollar cost averaging in, even if you take a little bite here, right? And then we come down, you take a little bite here, right? Even if you wind up going down big time, right? You get another big capitulation, take another bite here, your average entry price will wiggle its way down. Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. You just dollar cost average in. And then eventually, if you think Bitcoin's going to be above 100K again, you're going to wind up in profit at some point, especially if you make a new all-time high. So, everything is like contextual and very like plan driven, right? Like if someone said, I bought a bunch of spot Bitcoin here, I'm looking to hold it for the next day or something, like that would be like probably pretty risky. But of course, it depends on your overall long-term plan. Yeah, shout out to New Earth Guardian said, I personally have no bias and strictly trading TA and futures with no spot holdings. Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? Like I don't really like short term, right? Like I have no real bias, right? Like if we think it's gonna dump and it bounces, right? Well, of course I'm in the long, but it's like I'm a very reactionary based, technical based trader. Like I don't really have an emotional bias. I guess technically we want Bitcoin to go up, but when it dumps, right? It's just like that is what it is. Yeah, I very rarely have like an emotional bias. Capitulation trading. What if we reverse from the value area low at 58K from the 2024 range? It's a possibility. It depends on if the weekly money flow decides to roll back up. Potentially it could be the bottom. Right, I'm not saying that this is going to be the bottom. It'd be impossible for me to say, hey, guys, just wait. Once you hit here, that's the bottom, then we go up. Guaranteed 100%. No one knows that, right? Like, that would just be the best thing ever. God, do I wish that was possible. There's not a person on earth that can do that. But once we get down there, if it looks really good, we have all the bullish confirmations, we could say to ourselves, hey, if this weekly money flow comes up, that could be the bottom, right? I will potentially be interested, depending on what the chart looks like here, if we get down here, right? Again, you could maybe reverse here. Anything can happen. But I would be potentially interested in, maybe starting to look at potential bottoms. Don't close trades, hedge them. Yeah. Not a bad idea. All right, so let's see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here in the chat. All right, let's go ahead, and I want to take a quick look at Ethereum. Pull up the alt chart here. All right, so Ethereum. Actually, let me pull up this ETH chart. So we took a look at this yesterday. Took a look at this spider line here from 2022. Let me pull up the 2021 macro range, right? So we looked at this. We actually talk about this in the premium Discord, right? Front running those value area lows, guys. It is unlikely, let's fix that box, right? Unlikely that you just front run a value area low, right? We front run it. We front run it. Eventually, you do come down and tap it. We have that spider line just underneath us. This is a big level of support. And, again, kind of the same thing as Bitcoin. If you can hold the 4-hour bullish divergences, it sits at about $2,094, right? Like technically we can say you have the 4-hour bullish divergences. If you hold above the value area low, and I would say this spider line, maybe you get a little bit of a bigger push to the upside. Major level to the upside would be 23.27 at the point of control. Big level, right? Just simple auction market volume profile theory. Super high time frame, of course. I'll take the spider lines off so everybody just doesn't have like an aneurysm. Deviate above the high. This is overvalued price. The fair value is within your volume profile. When you deviate above, that's overvalued. Very likely you rotate towards the lows. Once you get to the lows, flip the POC, rotate to the highs, right? This is cheap. This is expensive. This is cheap. This is expensive. Not that you have to bounce directly off the value area low, but, when we look at this volume profile, if we deviate below, right, you could, essentially look at this as, generally cheap prices. So we deviate above the high. We get back in. We can't break out of the range. Next likely place for price to go is to get the move down towards the POC and then eventually fill the volume profile to the low. So, this is not where I would look for fresh shorts, just like on Bitcoin, right? We like to short on the retracements, right? Like in my opinion, if I was not short, I'm not short on Ethereum, but if I was not short on Ethereum right now, this is not the place to look. I'd never really get bearish at support, even if it melts down, right? Like there's just no, I would never take a short here, whether it dumps or not. More often than not, you're going to get some kind of a retracement at support. So definitely not a place where I would look to take a short. If anything, I would have to be looking for longs down here. I would say like 4-hour bullish divergences, you do have them. Could it give you a bounce? Sure, but again, remembering the fact that we are in a bearish environment here, these bull divs could just give you lackluster retracements, not necessarily massive rips into new all-time highs. So daily money flow also in the red, right? So any other, bounce could also be looked at, right? Maybe you get the daily green dot. We could check that 90-minute money flow. Yeah, I mean, this could be another thing to look at. Money flow is kind of wish-washy here, but, you're generally trending up. This money flow keeps creeping up. Crosses into the green with your daily green dot. That is a market cipher B 1/16th bullish setup. And that could indicate the 90-minute trend could continue up, right? POC is your next key level at 23.30. Flip the POC. Maybe you look for a bigger push up. But I wouldn't necessarily be looking at that as a, at the end of the day, right, on the daily, that 90-minute money flow crossover would just kind of look like an ebb or flow to the upside for potential lower highs and lower lows. Why is that? Daily money flows in the red. Look what happened last time your daily money flow crossed into the red. Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? Overall trend continuation. So could be the same thing. Doesn't mean you can't get bounces. Doesn't mean you can't get bounces, right? But the overall trend continuation based off the daily here would be lackluster for lower highs and lower lows. What are some of the key levels I would look at? I'll just pull up the simple levels. I would be looking at this previous volume profile sitting at about 28.95. This would be kind of like, you could even look at the actual technical like levels, right? Like the candles, 26, call it 26.20 at this wick low. We could pull our Fibonacci retracement, see if we have any confluence. Look at that value area low confluence, right? This is how I find key levels to the upside. Now, of course, there's no guarantee you get all the way up there, but this would be a major, major previous range retest, right, for a potential continuation and lower high continuation to the downside. Now, if you didn't make it all the way up there, right, of course, you could pull your local Fibonacci retracements. All right, you have one here. This is actually also somewhat, I'd probably maybe look at the zone like this, right? Value area low, 786, golden pocket, sitting between 2662 and 2914. 3 levels in there, right? All the horizontal levels have been ran through. We can definitely check out some naked points of controls because we may have, let me actually pull these up fresh, right? So we do have 2 daily MPOCs here. We have another daily MPOC there. So we could actually mark these out. You got a daily MPOC here. You got a daily MPOC. Whoops. Come on. Give me that MPOC. There we go. One here. One here. Right? So you can actually look at this as 2 zones. That's kind of how I like to look at it. Confluence there. And then you have your 786 value area low. So, on a significant retracement, of course, I'm not going to cover every hyper-local level. If you end up getting above this point of control, this would kind of be the major zone I would look at. Again, 2660 all the way up to about, $2,900. Retest the range low, golden pocket retracement. If we get a significant push to the upside, right, maybe those 4-hour bull divs give you a little push. Bada boom. Again, I'm not hopeful for those 4-hour bull divs, especially in a bearish environment. But if you get the bigger retracement, these are higher time frame, big levels to look at. All right, let me pull up chat here. I'm stuck in the super chats. Whoops. Where are we at? Live chat. There we go. We have a large sell wall on the order flow around 75K. Let's pull that up. $75K. Well, let's see. Hyper locally, of course, the medium time frames on Bitcoin, right? Yeah, I mean, talk about a bearish scenario here, guys. But, right, like our next major kind of larger range sits all the way up here, right? If we get like a decent relief and we're able to crack above, flip 80,500, right? Like we still have massive resistance around like $86,000. But looking more locally here, if we're not going to get that bigger reclaim, and we're just going to kind of bing bong around here on the lower time frames, can pull it like this, 76K. Let me pull this to current. 75.5. See if we have any other technical levels there. Yeah, golden pocket 786. Right, and at the end of the day, if we get a continued bounce here, right, like this would be the full kind of local fib from the previous high. I can't really tell if this wick, 76,832. Come on, 76,849. Yeah, so it'd be this wick to this wick. That would kind of be your full Fibonacci retracement. So it would make sense as resistance, right, for a little bit of a range retest there. Golden pocket 786. We'll see, right? If you can't get through that, could be a lower high before coming down and maybe tapping that $70,000 level. If you break that 786, right, these are going to be like the hyper local levels we would watch. Value area low confluence on that fib. PLC value area high up here. If we did end up getting above $75,000, flipping the 786, could kind of squeeze the shorts into the POC value area high sitting at 78,687 and 79K, right? Because it's like kind of hard to look up here if we can't get above these levels, right? So you got to kind of look at the local levels, and then if we break above those, flip 80,500, I'd be interested in like really seeing some kind of a short squeeze into about 86 to 86.5. So we'll see. I don't know if we're going to get the push up right now into here, but we'll see. It's just, we're really struggling here, guys. And like you could even see here, look at this VWAP rolling over on the 30-minute. I could just never unsee these momentum waves looking for bull divs. Like that would indicate a break of the lows. Do I would I be looking for a short? Would I be looking for a trade right now? No. No real setup for me personally. Doesn't mean you can't take a trade. I want to go short, long, whatever it is. But of course, if this is going to look to set up a bull div, could potentially break the lows. Definitely struggling here. Let's see. Shout out to Post that it's the end of the world, and I'm longing. It's the end of the world, and I'm longing, and I feel fine. Yo, shout out to Post. We're multi-workers now. I saw that stuff. That's crazy, guys. It might be the end of the world, right? Robots are taking over. It's insane. Shout out to Stivers that has the traditional 4-year cycle play into your thought process this year or not. Shout out to Stivers. I mean, we have the 4-year cycle kind of chart that we have marked out here. I mean, at the end of the day, if you just look at this from a 4-year cycle perspective, I mean, it's kind of hard to say that, it hasn't, am I on the right chart here? No. Right? It's kind of hard to say that the 4-year cycle has not been, pretty dang accurate. Right? Now, I don't just base my decisions off the 4-year cycle. Arguably, if you did, you'd be pretty accurate. But that's not just the only thing that I do take it into account. Where's the tops? Top to top, right? Just from a timing perspective, right? Part of the reason we started to just think to ourselves, hey, top to top, 1,477 days, top to top, 1,428, top to top, 1,421. Right? So, when we look at this and we say, first off, hey, we have massive weekly bearish divergences, money flow starting to come out. That's interesting, right? Because traditionally, it's around the same amount of time that it takes to go from top to top, right in time with the 4-year cycle. So I would take these weekly bearish divergences, not only because they're prettier with money flow coming out, but also, more seriously than these local bearish divergences. Of course, we looked at this to catch the shorts to the downside that we took here, but not looking for this to be the bear market, right? Actually looking for the higher low and the higher high, which ended up happening. Now, when we see the massive weekly bearish divergences, the massive 2-week bearish divergences, these massive, massive bearish signs, and we start to say, well, hey, kind of right on time with the cycle, with the weekly money flow starting to come out, this is an alarming sign for the top potentially being in. And that's why we talked about this at $108,000. So that's kind of how I look at it. And again, right, if you wanted to go, where could we potentially bottom based on the 4-year cycle? Well, you'd probably be looking around October, if it plays out somewhat similarly. Does that make sense? Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Now, would that mean that if I saw massive bullish confirmations down here that I wouldn't be entertaining a potential early bottom? No, right? It's an if this, then that statement. If I see something different here, I will make decisions off of that if the information is actually different. Not just, oh my God, I don't want to, I want price to go up. This time is different, right? There has to be information on the charts. But, would it shock me if it all plays out the same? That's why I say this scenario could be in play. But you cannot rule out the bigger dump down for the traditional bear market to come in, bottom out in October. That would definitely be a thought, right? But again, if we get the reaction here, I'm not going to sleep on that, of course. A lot of people don't want to hear that, right? Because they just want it to be as easy as, come on, isn't it just going to repeat? I hope it does, right? Because that would be really nice. It'd be nice if the 4-year cycle remains intact. But yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. I take this 4-year cycle into consideration. But again, the technical confirmations, if we had all this happening earlier on these highs, right, and it looked just as bad, I probably would have been saying, hey, guys, maybe 100K was the top, right? Maybe 106K was the top, 107K, whatever it was, 108K. But, of course, that was not the case, right? So there you go. Hopefully it helps you out. The one thing I will say is, this will end, right? And I am hopeful that it will end sooner than later. I can't really say I think it's over right now. But, potentially as early as, 67 to 59K. If it changes there, I will be looking down lower. Let's see. Going to 0 this time. Yeah, shout out to Sniper. They call for 0 every time. Maybe this will be it. Maybe this will be the time. Bitcoin's been dead almost every cycle. They say Bitcoin's dead. China banned Bitcoin for the 11th time. Yeah, shout out to New Earth Guardian said, I'm training AI right now. Yes, our robots are taking over. Post said 50% of nerds say it's AGI. The others say it's vaporware, which doesn't help us non-tech bros. Do I think the inclusion of the BTC in the Epstein files has sentiment down further? Maybe. We talked about how there was no real bearish narrative, right, as we were putting in the higher low. Now, of course, we didn't expect this to be a higher low for a higher high for other reasons, regardless of the narrative, right? The narratives are always late. The signs are on the chart before the narratives come in. Same thing on the October 10th liquidation wick, right? We were short from up here before the tweet came out. I'm not saying we caused the tweet. I'm not saying we predicted the future. I'm just saying 9 out of 10 times, if you trade the charts, the narrative comes in later. We short here, tweet comes in here. We don't care what the narrative is. Like, I can't tell you how many times someone will come up to me and be like, oh my God, did you see the news? Bitcoin's dumping. And I'm just like, they're like, I opened a short. And I'm like, oh, interesting. I'm already short from the high. I didn't know the news happened, but awesome. Yay for my short, right? It happens like 9 out of 10 times. Same thing, right? Like, no bearish narratives here. No reason to really be scared. I think that's why a lot of people were hopeful here for a higher low. No bearish narratives. Bitcoin's still bullish. We see the obvious signs on the chart. And then, maybe the narrative of the Bitcoin being in the files maybe doesn't really make a difference to me. It's just like I kind of see that as like we expected, like, maybe we have some kind of a narrative. And I thought about that. I was like, maybe that's the narrative. There could be another one, right? Maybe a bigger one, a scarier one to get the next big drop down. I don't know. I don't try to predict the black swans, right? They're black swans. They're unpredictable. I think you can, it's fun to think about like what it might be, right? We've speculated war. We've speculated many things. Maybe that was it. Maybe that was one of them. But again, not something I really make decisions off of, just kind of something that I pay attention to. Or don't really pay attention to. I just kind of like, we'll see, right? Show me the charts and then fill in the news. We'll talk about the narrative when it comes in. And, of course, we anticipated this off the charts. And then, if you want to say that this came in on the narratives, maybe. Doesn't really matter to me. Doesn't change anything. Yeah, the news will escalate the trend. I mean, maybe, right? Like, for sure, right? Like in the case of the liquidation wick, it's actually pretty funny because we were actually looking at this from a volume profile perspective because that's how the market moves, right? It's an auction. That's why auction market theory is, in my opinion, the best way to look at the charts. But it really is crazy, right? Because our plan here was essentially short, like just any volume profile trade. If you're short from the high, you get back into the range, you go to the POC and the low. And of course, the liquidations push you much lower, which is great, right? Because the short plays out even more. But look where the candles collected, right? Look where the candles ended up closing, right on the key level. So, yes, I would say, that tweet, the liquidation, does give you the extra liquidation wick down. But it is crazy to see those candles close right on top of the key level. This is part of the reason why I love the charts. Not only, love them from a high probability perspective and they benefit me, but it's why it just fascinates me. It fascinates me. Oftentimes, the warning signs are on the chart before any kind of news comes in. Now, of course, sometimes unexpected news comes in, right? Like, I'm not saying that you can't take a short here and then some kind of random bullish news comes out that no one's expecting, bullish black swan, boom, and it snaps up. That I'm not saying that's ever impossible, but I would say it's like 1 out of 10 times that'll happen. Well, does anybody know Dan Pena? If anybody knows Dan Pena, he's been very vocal. And this is actually interesting because he's like a super oil billionaire guy. And he's talked about many a times how he will not touch Bitcoin because he said he knows who Satoshi is, which anytime someone says that, I'm like, yeah, okay. But he's like, he's crazy. I love that guy. That guy's awesome. But he's like, if you knew what I know who made Bitcoin. If you knew, you wouldn't be able to run away from it fast enough. It would go to effing 0. Boom. In the blink of an eye. That's what he says. It's hilarious. You should look up the video. And it's actually interesting because I wouldn't be surprised if he knows or somehow communicated or in the loop on things that have happened with Epstein. So I don't know. Interesting. Um, shout out to New Earth Guardian. Said Frankie love chart. I love lamp. Are you a lamp lover, New Earth? Let's go. Yeah. Do I think that he's Satoshi? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. Right? Like just very simply, who knows? We'll see. I guess we'll find out. Legendary shorts if Bitcoin goes to zero. Could you imagine? Oh my God. Yeah, Bitcoin is fine. That's kind of my thought process. Like, I don't know. I just think, like, I don't even really, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think that's probably a low probability scenario. I think it's a perfect narrative, right? Like, it didn't come out that he was Satoshi. But it's just like, oh my God, now there's speculation, sentiment's all shaken, dump it. Yes, I'm a lamp lover. And Epstein is Satoshi. Thoughts on Solana? Yeah, we can take a look at Solana. Let's see here. So, weekly now tapped. We actually, believe we looked at this yesterday. Couldn't reclaim the POC, right? Highest probability, continue through the profile. Your next key level of support, other than your value area low, sitting at $80, is your weekly horizontal. $91,000. Shout out to, I forgot who it was. Somebody was asking if we could get down to $97. And I was explaining that I don't remember exactly where we were, but we were just kind of dumping down. It's like I personally would not be taking a short on a massive red candle, but obviously the next major levels are 107, 102, and then $91,000. So shout out to that guy. And he even got a reaction at $97. So I wonder what he was looking at because there's obviously something there. But anyway, shout out to that guy. Now you got your $97. But yeah, I mean, you're within your profile. Big key levels to look at right now on Solana. Value area high 107.73, POC 102.60, and then the value area low sitting at $80.72. Only other level here was the weekly, which you are getting a little reaction off of, but it's very hard for me to say, right? Like when you have a POC and the value area high so close to each other like this, you know, oftentimes this could be like a big level of support, and like sometimes you can creep out and get a bigger retracement or a bigger bounce, right? Just in general, it doesn't have to be a retracement. In this case, it would have been, but you know, once you lose that POC, like this is not necessarily a level that I'm like super interested in giving you like some kind of massive pump to the upside. Like I am just inclined to look at this volume profile. As long as you remain below this value area low and POC, this remains the higher probability scenario. Is like we're accepted into this range. We broke in, we couldn't get out, we lose the POC. Could be an ugly journey, right? It doesn't necessarily have to go break in, value area high, POC, value area low. It doesn't always happen like that, right? I wish it was that clean every single time. But of course, you know, you lose this POC. The idea is that, you know, very likely, even if you get retracements, right, like filling this volume profile could be the higher problem. I'd be more open to the idea of like, if you get a strong bounce here, you could break out. But, you know, you're already below the POC and the value area high. Even if you get a retracement here, like I would still say like filling this profile could be the higher probability. Doesn't mean I would short at support, but let's see. Let's pull this fib real quick. Let's pull it from the lower high to the low. Yeah, you got your golden pocket right on the value area high. Let's pull it here. Yeah, and then your next fib is on the POC. These are the two biggest levels. Simply put, here, here. If you can't get above this, I would look for, because on the way back down, right, this weekly is going to be gone, right? And unless we create a new level here, like a new weekly, maybe you'll make a daily here, potentially, if you hold. But you're just within your profile. You could chop around, you could retrace till we get out of you know, I would say $107. I'd be looking at this as a acceptance into the profile. Could be headed down to $81. Flip out of here. Maybe you go for the bigger retracement, which has moved slightly, but still pretty much in the same spot. And that sits at, call it $126.15 to $128. And then high time frame, weekly money flow in the red, right? So you could definitely, very similar to Ethereum, right? Retest, if you get out of here, If you get out of here, retest the range low, lower high, lower low. We will be back in the 60s before the carnage is done. Yeah, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. That would be the longer-term kind of thought process. And, yeah, I don't really even have a super high probability. We'll see, right? We're getting the 24-minute red dot, 30-minute red dot about to print. So we're going to get this bull div to print here and take out the low. This 30-minute red dot might be the thing to do it. So we'll see. Shorts will continue to print. Two-hour green dot printing, 7-minute money flow not looking clean, right? If this money flow was looking super trending to the upside, right? Technically, it's making a higher low, but curving out pretty aggressively. I mean, if this was smoothly coming up, I would argue maybe you can continue the trend up. That's kind of, this does not make me super hopeful that this trend is just going to continue pushing up here. Yeah, 12-hour red dot. I mean, 45-minute money flow is already in the red, so you don't really have a market cipher B bearish confirmation there, but still just in general, you're fighting 12-hour red dot, 16-hour red dot, 10-hour red dot just confirmed recently. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of fighting a lot here for that long to play out, which is, of course, why it was looked at as more of a scalp. Who's Susie? Hashtag who's Susie? I don't know who Susie is. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Creighton C. Thank you for the super chat. Said, wait, are you saying BTC went to the island? This is almost as big as discovering premium made gifts of you. Oh, no. Big day. It really is all connected. No way. The premium made gifts of me? Oh, man. I assume I'm gonna be embarrassed when I see those gifts. Is Mrs. Candles involved in those? A deflated Mrs. Candles? Shout out to Creighton C. Oh man, somebody send it. Somebody send it. Shout out to Valentino. Well, welcome in. Says salut, Frankie. Shout out to you. Okay, I'm back. Let's go pump my bags. Shout out to Rudy. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. We got Rudy with a Y. No Rudy with the eyes today. No Rudy with the eyes. Haven't seen him at least. 69K Bitcoin incoming giggity. We'll see. We got the levels there. And again, right, like nothing other than a fake out of the low. Not really any, I mean, not really. Literally nothing here, right? You can't reclaim this low, and ideally this volume profile with this value area low /786, right? Like you're not really bouncing off of much here, right? Not much. There's nothing here, right? Like the next key level is down here. 70 to 67K. Can we get the dump here live on stream is the question. Yo, shout out to Zeus. I just got a call from Trump. He said he'll pump the markets tonight. Shout out to you, bro. I hope so. Yo, shout out to Valentina. Said Frege, it's Valentina, not Valentino. That's funny because I thought it said Valentino at first, and I tried to fix it at the end. I was like, Valentino. That's funny that you said that. But shout out to Valentino. Welcome in. Let's get the dump. Come on. We get the dump live on stream if you stream long enough. So let's go for 12 hours. Shout out to Rudy. Yeah, guys, we've been doing these streams have been super, super long. They've been like 3 to 5 hours. I don't plan on going that long tonight, but they have been long. If we can get the price action, I'll have no choice but to stay up here. Shout out to JP. Oh, no, Mrs. Candles gifts. But thanks for the idea. Why did I say that? I should have never said it. Dang it! Draw your volume profile at the bottom. I don't know exactly what you mean by the bottom. Shout out to Dully. Oh yeah, you're right. Actually, shout out to Deuce said Dan Pena's on record saying it's Putin. Yeah, you're right. I actually think I did see that. I don't know. Plausible? Who knows? Who knows? My guess, right? Like my biggest guess is, I mean, I don't know. It's just so dumb, right? Like I would say, I don't know. It would not shock me if it's some kind of like government agency or country. It also wouldn't shock me if it's some random like cryptography people. Like it just really wouldn't surprise me either way. Maybe we'll never know. Man, if I went into the future, that'd be like the first thing I asked. Did they ever find out who Satoshi is? A lot of people, like, there's so many conspiracies out there, so many theories just in general of who he is. I wouldn't be surprised if like some of those are right either. Like one of those big theories is maybe right too. But what do I know? All right, let's see. 1830 on ETH. Let's take a look. Let's pull up the actual ETH chart. Let me just get these off the chart. All right, so when we look at this from a high time frame perspective, right, we're in the 2021 bull market range. So, I mean, this is a big area, right? If we deviate below, what can we look at? Let me pull some of these other ranges. We were looking at some, okay, yeah, so I don't think, check the weekly MPOCs, monthly MPOCs. Yeah, we actually looked at this yesterday. About $1,800 you have a monthly, and then POC, monthly naked point of control, in the 16 to 15, yeah, about 1,600. So I would say like 18 to 1,600 are your next like significant high time frame horizontal levels. Yeah, you got dailies there at about 1820. So yeah, you got a monthly and a daily there. Only thing is, in my opinion, if we break down in here, of course you can get a bounce here, right? Especially with the monthly being a very big level. But just from a volume profile perspective, I would really prefer to see the point of control tapped before a bigger move up. And then, of course, if you can't hold that, right, maybe bigger moves down towards the low. But yeah, you got basically the dailies at almost 1830. So daily, monthly, you got something there. But from a volume profile perspective, right, like value area high at about $2,000, POC at about 1630, value area low at about 1300. When I draw mine, it doesn't look like yours. Oh, shout out to Dully. Maybe you're talking about this profile. Yours might be different if you're looking at a different exchange. So if you're on like an actual different Bitcoin chart, it might be slightly different. Also could be changing depending on how you're pulling it. Oftentimes I pull it before the breakdown. There's no real right or wrong way to pull it. I just like to pull it over consolidation. So yeah, many different reasons why they could be different, but I have it pretty much pulled from here. This one's pulled to current price action. Bitcoin continuing to push down here. Is it going to go for the 30-minute red dot printing? Is it going to go for the break of the low? Let's find out live on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. Shout out to Valentina, says, Frankie, guess who I am by saying a phrase salut? I have no idea. Do I know you? Do I know you personally? Valentina has a personal person that I know in my life infiltrated the chat. None of my friends know about this, guys. I keep this a secret. Nobody knows about me. Do not leak me, guys. Do not leak me. Shout out to Valentina. I have no idea. Give me a hint. Pull it how you like it. Shout out to Carlos. No one can tell you how to pull your fib or your volume profile. But yeah, we could take a look at some we could take a look at some more altcoins. Of course, right? Like with the altcoins, they're like all going to be tied to Bitcoin, right? Like if Bitcoin gets a big retracement, chances are the altcoins may follow. But one thing I will take a look at is XRP, right? We've talked about this. We looked at the low volume gap here. Very likely, if we got accepted into this gap, we'd get a very fast move to the downside towards about $1.53. Next big key level down here for XRP is going to be sitting at $1.40. That just is what it is. Question is, are we just going to melt down, or are we going to get some kind of a retracement here? Is this a new low? Not that it would change the fib drastically or anything. No. So, the question is, are we going to be able to see some kind of a retracement? Maybe we fly back through the gap. I would still be looking at this zone being the biggest level of resistance. This sits between about $1.92 and $2.06. Potential lower highs before another lower low. It's very hard for me to say. All right, like, do I think this retracement's going to come in? We'll have to see what happens. Again, like, all the bullish confirmations are not really giving much oomph. There's no chutzpah. There's no, I don't know. There's no sauce on it. They're just kind of like dying. They're just kind of like lackluster, just grinding down slowly. So again, I wouldn't really necessarily be interested in like major bounces here. If we did, I'd be looking at it as a lackluster bounce for lower highs and lower lows. We take a look at the weekly time frame, fresh money flow crossover into the red. I think a lot of people, when they want me to look at altcoins, they're just like trying to figure out if their altcoin's going to pump. And it's like, pumps are relative, right? Like I could say I'm bearish on XRP and then we push up here. Relatively, I guess that would be bullish, but I would still be looking for another dump to come in or another new low to come in. We talked about that low volume gap. Very quick move down. And again, the low volume gaps are just like so beautiful to look at, just like on Bitcoin, right? So simple to look at, so high probability. If you can't hold on top of the gap, it's very likely that not only will you head through it, but it will be a very fast move down. And exactly the situation on Bitcoin. Put up on a higher time frame. Right? Lose the high volume node, fall into the gap, fast move down. Right? Same thing would be here, right? Oh my God, if we lose about, say 55K, guess where we're probably going to head down to? Probably 51K. Lose 51K, where are we going to head down to? Probably to 47K and maybe even down to 42K, right? Now, of course, you want to combine this with horizontal levels, but like oftentimes, right, you can just go back and look at this, right? Big volume gap, fast move up, right? So if we lose this, probably a fast move down, right? And then again, you have a little high volume node here. Maybe it's a sticking point, 51K. You can go back as far as you want, right? Come on, volume. There we go, right? Fast drop down. Big old gap. Price sticks right here. Retest the high volume node, fast drop down. Now you might say, what's going on here? Fast move down, no gap. This volume was spiked by the consolidation here. So this price action built up a high volume node here. That's not that you can't fly through a high volume node, but more often than not, that's how it's going to operate, right? Like I recommend going back and looking at that. You could just think of this as a floor when you're above it, right? Bounce, bounce, lose it, low volume gap, boom, down to the high volume node created over here. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Ceiling when you're below it, through the volume node, low volume node. Support, support. You'll lose it, right? So you could just kind of look at it like that. Go back to like any point in the chart, right? You'll see low volume on the big moves or the impulses and high volume on the consolidations. All right? Why is this a high volume node? Well, price was sticking to this area for a very long time. Simplest way to look at the chart. Like if you don't even know how to find key levels, right? Like I wish I knew about this when I first started trading, because like you can find like really key levels, oftentimes very important naked points of controls, by just marking out the high volume nodes, right? Like this is a key level, 42K, right? Probably the point of control of this consolidation, right? High volume node, highest volume node within this cluster is the POC of this range, right? That's a key horizontal level that we look at. But if you don't know how to find, maybe you're new, you don't know how to find naked points of controls, you can just mark out those high volume nodes, right? You're going to get pretty much the same exact level. That's probably support. This is probably support. This is probably support. This is probably support. Or resistance, depending on if you're above or below it. But let's see. Bitcoin just trying. It's trying. It's clawing. It's clawing. Shout out to Valentina. Said, Frankie, stop sending me love letters. It's too much. My mail is full. Shout out to Valentina. Who are you? Valentina. I don't think I know her. I do 15-minute and 30-minute views. Then check the 4-hour bigger picture for direction. Yeah, shout out to big BB guns. I like it. I like it. What is that volume you have on the side? That is the visible range volume profile. Same thing as a fixed range volume profile, except the visible range shows you all the candles that are visible, like the volume traded on the candles that are visible on the chart. If I zoom out, right, you have all this volume. If I zoom out, now it's incorporating all this volume. You'll see it update. Bada boom. Now we're incorporating all this volume. A fixed range is the same tool, right? It's like the same, behaves the same way, but you're just selecting the volume you want, right? So when you select from here to here, right, or you want to select from, if you want to select from here to here maybe, right, it's only going to calculate the volume in here, right? And then the value area high, the POC, and the value area low, between the low and the high is where 70% of the price action was traded. The POC was the area of the highest volume transaction, right? The most volume was traded at the POC, and then the majority of all of the volume, 70% of the volume, was traded in the range, essentially, right? And actually, you can pull up the value area high, value area low on your visible range, right? So, like this profile, value area low, POC, value area high, would be the same range if I were to pull the fixed volume profile over the same, like, there you go, right? Same exact range. Just same tool, different way to use it, kind of. So, yeah, like I like to mark out the value areas on the chart, right? This is a value area. This is a value area, right? Fair value, fair value. Locally, you have the fair value down here on a low time frame. But on a visible range, right, like I want to see that stuff on the chart, right? Because if I come up here, I get accepted in, right? I want to see that. But right now, this is just showing me all of this, right? Does that make sense? I don't personally look at the value. I don't look at the levels on the visible range. I just turn those off for this. I just use the visible range to find like significant high volume gaps, right? And like you can see, we're in the middle of our high volume nodes and low volume gaps. You can see here, we're kind of in the middle of a low volume gap, right? Like really the next significant area of volume comes in around 70 to 67K, which again is confluent with our key levels here, right? Value area high, POC. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then, like, I forgot who said it. Someone said sell wall like 75K, right? Well, we do also have a high volume node there. Makes a lot of sense. 47,800 coming. Yeah, it's a macro POC of the 2021 range. Could be. I don't know if you're going to get there today, but it could be an eventual target to look at. Yo, shout out to New Earth Guardian said Perry is undercover as his girlfriend to test Frankie for Mrs. Candles. Yo. You couldn't test me. I feel so lucky to have Mrs. Candles that like you couldn't pay me to do anything stupid. You really couldn't. So funny, like sometimes Mrs. Candles will be like, "Who is that person I saw you talking to?" I'm like, "Listen to me right now. If you think I want to take on the stress of talking to two girls and having two girlfriends secretly, you're crazy. I would never curse myself with that burden. Dealing with one is hard enough." And Mrs. Candles doesn't give me any trouble. So I'm like lucky. I'm here. Thank God. Trust me, I've had experience with crazy ex-girlfriends. I know a good one when I got one. It's like Mrs. Candles is so good. Sometimes I'm like, wait, you're not just going to like be mad for no reason? That's so weird. I've never experienced that before. I told you guys, BTC to $1. Send it to 0, baby. Yo, Mrs. Candles on the list is crazy. Oh, Frankie, it's Perry. My phone is dead. Oh, gotcha. Shout out to Perry. That's why he said, guess who it is when I say salut. Shout out to Perry. Let's go. He's undercover, man. You are undercover. You're trying to catch me slipping. Trying to, wink at Valentina. Jesus. Shout out to Perry. That's crazy. I got my girlfriend's phone to check the live stream. Can't resist the TA. Let's go. Sometimes I do that too. Mrs. Candles has like a bunch of stuff on her phone that's like a folder just for me when my phone dies. Like we're at a baseball game and I'm like, I need your phone. I need your phone. I got to check the price. I'm like logged in on her phone too. That's so real. I feel the same, brother. Yeah, like if you've been through bad relationships, you know when you got a good one. I have zero complaint. Like Mrs. Candles is the rings in the chat. Yeah. It's obvious. It's it's like I would be. She is my better half. I'd be lost without her. Perry the platypus. My pineapple juice just turned into lemon juice watching this chart. Little early on the short, but I'm safe now. Bing bong. Hey, shout out to Jake from Reddit. Jake from State Farm's cousin. Let's go. Yeah, so let's see if we can take out this low, guys. See if we can do it. Shout out to Saeed. Welcome in, bro. Said Frankie, my rock star. Shout out to you, brother. Welcome in. Always happy to see you here, bro. Frankie and Mrs. Candle sitting in a tree. Trading. Me and Mrs. Candle just swinging our feet on a branch. You long? I'm short. Oh, geez. Hang on. Let me sniff the hand. Give me your hand. Frankie used to tell me I was his better half before that perfect shrew came into his life. Bro, shrew is the craziest term ever. Dude, that perfect shrew. Mrs. Candles. Nah, she doesn't feel good right now. I won't scream at her. Wait until shrew is insane. That's a great insult, man. Get out of here, you shrew. Shrew. Shout out to Fluffy. He said, I sent Frankie a blow up Mrs. Candles a few years ago. Was that you that sent it? We thought it was Crypto Billy. I don't think anyone ever came forward of who it was. Shout out to Fluffy. If it really was you, bro, that's crazy. She's still sitting right here. We're still together. It's the love of my life. Yo, chat, losing. Just going way off track here. Shrew is one of my favorite terms. Watch your longs. Liquidation alert. New low alert. New low alert. Beep, 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 beep. New low alert. New low alert. Are we going to get it? Are we going to get it? Manipulative shrew. Oh, my. Get out of here, you manipulative shrew. I love that. Mrs. Candles planning Frankie's demise. Yeah, we're just sitting on the tree trading, and she's just like sawing it on the side, sawing me off. PTC poo-pooing. We are all Mrs. Candles, collective consciousness. So you don't send me flowers and chocolate anymore? Shout out Perry, I'll send you flowers and chocolate. Don't you worry. All right, can we break this low? I actually have something I have to get to. So we could break this low. This would kind of be perfect timing. And again, guys, if we wind up putting in a bullish divergence here, it's like, are we putting in a bull div into a key level? I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, there's just nothing down here. When Frankie gets off topic, it's the best. I get sucked in, man. When chat goes left, I go lefter. I'm from Norway. We are restricted to 5x minimum, but keeps me safe, I guess. Hey, not a bad thing. Hey, shout out to Tony just pinned a chat here. Shout out to Alex. Says, really do appreciate all the TA. The most educational YouTuber I've ever watched. Started really grasping it. Thank you, sir. No problem, brother. And I think the live streams here during the day really do help because you can kind of see stuff play out in real time, right? Like even just this potential break of the low if we end up seeing it, right? Just how do we see that coming? Right. Well, number one, I mean, there's many ways you could see it coming. Right. Obviously, we're in a very bearish scenario. Right. But you get the VWAP rolling over on the 30-minute. Right. And as that happens, right, when you're looking at this trend to potentially continue up, like I said, right, we were looking at the 5-minute money flow starts to continue out here. Right. 7-minute money flow starting to come out here. Right. And the reason we look at the 7-minute money flow is because I'll just be a little educational here. Shout out to Alex. All right. When you have the 2-hour green dot looking to print, the 7-minute money flow is typically what I like to see cross over into the green to indicate the overall continuation of the trend. Now, why up here do we say maybe that's a little unlikely? Well, number one, your money flow is tanking back out. Number two, your 5-minute money flow is also not smoothly trending up. It's kind of chopping around. And when you see the 30-minute VWAP rolling over, looking to print a red dot, and your momentum wave is forming like this, I can never unsee this as being a potential bullish divergence. Right now, I'm not necessarily saying, oh my God, we're going to print a bull div and then moon. But when I just use this as like kind of a way to front run price action. If this is going to print a bullish divergence, right, this looks like if I were looking for a long here, right, I'm not saying I am, right, but if I were going to look for a new fresh long here, oftentimes, just in a random scenario, if I have, say, a value area low right here, right? And we're looking for a bullish divergence as a confirmation to enter a long position, and I want to see a bull div. Well, when I see this momentum wave looking like this with a red dot about to print, I say, hey, if this red dot can give us a push down, that might be the dot that gives us the bullish divergence, which indicates you're going to come take the low, right? So that's how you could, a few ways you could identify if you're going to come take that low, right? If you scrub back, you'll see us talking about how not really super confident that this is going to continue up, right? We look for a potential break of the low. That's how you do it, right? 30-minute VWAP rolling over slightly, right? Once that red dot prints, bullish divergence might print, that would call for a break of the low. Put the alert there, right? And then you also had your 24-minute red dot printing first, right? Look at this, just a straight elephant trunk to the downside. New low coming, looks like it. Let's get a beep beep beep. It's over. It's over. $1 incoming. Shout out to Doc Williams. Said, Frankie, if I were looking to start trading today, where would be the best place to start? Shout out to Doc. I would say, first off, buy my course. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. There it is. There is the new low there. I would say, there you go, right? Perfect example. I would say, shout out to Doc, the best way to start is, first off, you don't need to start spending money on a bunch of stuff, right? You can check out the YouTube channel. I have a ton, like endless free education on this channel. I have the beginner series, which is essentially like that will get you from like knowing nothing about the charts to understanding, having a base idea of what we look for and how to understand the charts, how to use the tools that we use. And you can start there, right? The beginner series has a bunch of videos in it. It's totally free. I would watch through all that, pay attention, take notes, go on the chart, learn this stuff, right, for free. Number two, I would recommend not getting into the premium Discord, right? Find me another influencer that will tell you to not get into their paid group. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to sell you a fake dream. Go into the free Discord. Whether it's mine, get in other communities, right? Go into the free Discord. If you want to join mine, the link's in the description down below. Get around other people who are trading already. Get around other people who are already, you're going to meet people who are beginners like you. You're going to meet people who have been doing this for a year. You're going to meet some OGs in the free Discord. We have a lot of really good OGs in the free Discord that are experienced, way further ahead of a lot of people in their journey. Get around those people, right? That's the fastest way. Number one, studying, learning. And then getting around people doing the same thing as you, right? Get in the communities. Ask them questions, right? You might want 100x long somewhere and someone be like, hey, bro, pump the brakes. I did that in the beginning too. That's like one of the big things that I wish I did was like get around more people doing what I was doing. I was just like sitting by myself trying to figure it out alone, making tons of mistakes over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, yeah. There you go. You're in the right place. Watch these live streams. Yeah, we're super educational on this live stream, as you can see. So stick with it, learn, and understand. It takes time to grasp the understanding of how the markets move. So there you go. That's what I would recommend. You're in the right place, bro. You literally could not be in a better place. CandleMafia is the best place. Do I usually cross-check all the time frames? Yeah. Shout out to Alex. It depends on like what time frame I'm looking for a trade on. But, yeah, like more often than not, I am usually checking all the time frames, right? Like in this case, for the 30-minute low to come in, I'm checking the 5-minute money flow. I'm checking the 7-minute money flow. And then I'm looking at the 2-hour green dot, right? And again, it takes time to like get the intuition, right? And like the market experience to understand like, hey, we have a green dot printing, but this 7-minute money flow is not smoothly trending up. If that 7-minute money flow was smoothly trending up, and that 2-hour VWAP was not inverted, right? We always talk about these inverted VWAPs. And if you don't know what this is, when this white wave crosses over the 0 line right here, that's usually what prints a green dot. And we actually have this printing, but it's an inverted VWAP. I don't like to see that, right? Like even this, right? Inverted VWAP is not what I consider strong, right? You get a green dot, you get a move up, right? But look at the inversion here. Oftentimes, it just wants to roll back over, right? It just wants to come up and then roll back over. So that 2-hour green dot, like when you see that printing, the confluence I would like to see there is the 7-minute money flow looking healthily crossing into the green. We didn't really have that. So then we look at the 30-minute. Well, now we have a red dot printing. If that's going to print a bull div, we would look to take out the low. So yeah, and then, I'm not in that context. If I'm looking for this 30-minute low to get taken out, I'm not necessarily going up to the monthly or 2-week time frame going like, oh, but we're about to print a green dot or whatever it is, right? Like you kind of have to section off the time frames, right? You have your like lower time frames, then you have your medium time frames, which I would consider between like the 1 and maybe the 8 hour, and then you have your like higher hourly time frames, and then the daily to the monthly is what I consider like high time frame. So if I'm like looking for a move on the 4 hour, maybe then I'm looking at a daily green dot. If I'm looking for a daily move, right, maybe I'm looking at the weekly, right? If I'm looking for a daily green dot, I'm not necessarily watching the 1-minute time frame. So you kind of have to section them off. Shout out to Fluffy, said, all right, G, gotta go speak soon. Shout out to Fluffy. Thank you for being here, bro. Smash that like button on your way out if you don't mind. Frankie, did I sell XRP? No, I did not sell my XRP. Let's see. 42K is where I'm buying. Shout out to Shorts Dump. If we make it down there, maybe not a bad idea. All inverse cup and handle action there. Dump it. Spill it. It's going down. Shout out to Izzy. Shout out to Cryptic Crimson. Shout out to Crimson. It says, watch it for years. I've learned so much. Yeah, shout out to Crimson. That's what we do here. Free value. Free education. We do save a lot, like the more advanced stuff for the premium Discord. But all the base stuff, right? Like I always tell people, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you could make money trading patterns, right? As long as you like the most important thing about trading, guys, is managing the risk and having, I don't want to say emotional control, because I think controlling your emotions is like a bad goal to have. Just because I don't think anyone can really like control the emotions they have. It's like binary, right? Like we're human, we're emotional creatures. You're going to feel greed. It's going to happen. You can't really stop it from happening. You're going to feel fear. You can't really stop it from happening. So I like to call it emotional discipline, which is you'll feel the emotion, but you have to be disciplined in not acting on the emotion, right? That's a huge piece of it, right? Risk management, having a plan is a huge piece of it. On the live stream yesterday, I had a really kind of big explanation of kind of how you could have two traders trading the exact same strategy. One makes money, one loses money. How could that be? You take the same trade, it's the same strategy. How can one person make money, one person lose money? Well, one person knows how to manage risk, take profit, protect themselves, follow a plan, and not act emotionally. And the other trader might get greedy, want to hold the trade to make as much money as possible, not take profit, have no plan, just hold it until it goes into the red, right? And that's kind of like the short explanation. That is so much more important than the strategy that you're trading, right? Your strategy is important. Your accurate TA is important. Market intuition, understanding how the markets move is important, obviously, but it's absolutely useless without any of those other intangible skills. Not a lot of people will say that, right? Everyone just wants to sell the indicator, sell this, sell that, right? Which, no, it's not a bad thing, I don't think, if it's useful. But that's really the secret to trading, right? And the fact that it doesn't happen overnight, right? You don't make $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a day your first week trading, right? More often than not, you're going to have to lose money because you have to kind of lose money, feel the emotions, make mistakes, and then realize the mistakes you made. There's like really no shortcut around that other than having someone kind of tell that to you, right? Or have people who are experienced kind of explain that to you. And even then, right, like someone could tell you, hey, don't act emotionally all they want, right? But like, I think sometimes you have to be like, what happened there, man? I just got greedy. Like, why didn't I just close the trade? Why didn't I just take profit? Why didn't I move my stop loss, right? It's I think a lot of times you have to learn those lessons the hard way to actually correct them. For me, I had to make those lessons so long, right? I have to make those mistakes so many times in a row for such a long period of time before I finally said, that's it. I'm over it. I'm done. Like, I'm bored of just seeing the same outcome. Like, the TA was good. I was right more than I was wrong, and I was just still losing money, right? Being a good analyst does not make you a good trader, right? It is a really good skill to have that will help you be a good trader. But you have the best TA. If you don't never close your trades, never take profit, FOMO into trades, overtrade, all that stuff, right? Like, you're not going to make money. So there you go. Is there any signal right now? I'm not interested in a trade here. I mean, if I had to look for anything, right, it's like maybe 30-minute bull div, maybe you get the bounce. But again, like, I like to look for a key level. I like to look for a confirmation. I like to have confluence. I would say right now you really only have the bull div. You don't really have a key level. You don't really have confluence. Doesn't mean you can't bounce, right? Like, it's a big misunderstanding that people have, right? Like, it doesn't mean you can't get a big bounce from here. It just means for me personally, based off my system, my strategy, like, there's just no trade to have there. Doesn't mean that you can't enter here and make money as it goes up. I only take trades when I have a setup that fits a certain criteria. So, yeah, maybe a little SFP of the low there as well. And let's see. All right. Barely. Actually. Oh, yeah, you did get the low there. I was going to say, did we not take the low? So, yeah, I got a little SFP there. Maybe a little 30-minute bull div. But again, you're fighting a 45-minute red dot. So, yeah, like, I wouldn't be like, oh, my God, beautiful setup. Again, doesn't mean you can't bounce. Just means, like, I wouldn't be saying, like, I would take that super confidently. But, of course, you have to make your own trading decisions. Maybe get the 2-hour green dot eventually. But, again, you are a little bit inverted there. Now, if we had massive key levels here, right, that would be a little bit of a different story. But, again, we don't really have key levels here. Sometimes there's no trade, right? Sometimes the best trade is no trade. Did we take the low? Yes, very slightly. Whoops. Very slightly. Low here is 71,999. Low here is 72K. Literally by it's like a pixel. You took the low. Let's take a look at the liquidation heat maps real quick. I'm just going to mark them out here. So, yeah, it's the same liquidity as yesterday. A lot of liquidity sitting above 79K. And then 90K. So, like, most of the liquidity sits above 79K and then 90K, which is all the way up here. All right, so you got liquidity here. You got liquidity here. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to go right up there right this second. You still have, you got a little bit of liquidity. It's not super hot, down to about 70K. But the real hot spots are up here and up here. But again, I look at the liquidity as, sure, a magnet for price. But like if we got closer, right, I look for that then to be a strong magnet to sweep out the highs. Let me see if I can pull it up on a higher time frame here real quick. Yeah, shout out to Neon Visual. Said, sometimes not taking a trade is the best way to make money instead of burning through your capital trying to hit a perfect swing, perfect swings every time. Absolutely. Or just know where what is looked at as a scalp trade and what is looked at as a swing trade, right? Oftentimes, a lot of times you could look at a scalp, right? Look at a local target, take your profit, move your stop loss to break even. If it decides to go for a bigger trade, you could just hold a portion of it, and if it stops you out, you get stopped out in profit. Let's see. Frankie is right. We go to 67K. Yeah, I think at some point, right? Like it doesn't, everybody wants to know, like, where do we go by the end of the day? Are we going to 67K, right? Like timing is very difficult, and that's not the way I would recommend looking at the charts, right? Like I always say, trading is a game of trapping, right? If you have a key level here and a key level here, and then maybe you have key levels down here, right? A little confluence down here, right? Oftentimes, right, and like maybe this is a volume profile, right? If price is at below the value area low, right, I have confirmations, right? Maybe I come into key support. Then I look for a trade, right? Actually, I just do this from a key level. I won't use the volume profile as an example, right? If I'm looking at this as a confluent area to take a short, and this is a confluent area to take a long. If price is just bing-bonging around here, like I'm usually not interested, right? That's my plan, right? That's why if you don't have a trading plan, you're gambling, right? At the end of the day. Right, a lot of times people will come in here and be like, should I take a trade? Now, I don't blame people for asking that question, right? Especially if you're new and you're learning. But if you ask that question, you probably have to learn. Nobody can tell you, hey, take a trade right now, exit here. If it was that easy, again, signals groups, you could just go into a signals group, get the best signals group, put it on a bot, print money forever. If you critically think a little bit, that's probably not a real thing, right? I wish it was. If it was, I would have never learned TA or how to trade myself. But if you ask those questions, it's not a bad thing, right? But you probably just have to actually put in some time to learn. If you don't know how to make a trading plan, you probably want to learn how to make a trading plan. If you jump on the charts and you're like, should I long or short right now? You probably want to start learning how to make a trading plan, right? And of course, we have tutorials on the channel infinitely to teach you kind of how I personally do that, right? But what I like to do is I like to set traps in the market, right? I want to take shorts here, for example. I want to take longs here, for example, right? Then I say, right, maybe price is kind of bing-bonging around, bada boom, right? And I'm like, well, hey, if we come out and take these lows, oftentimes I'll have a confirmation I want to see specifically. Maybe it's an SFP, tons of entry confirmations. I won't go over them. But, hey, if I come take this low, I get this X confirmation, then I want to take a long. But if price is just going like this, right? I know these are the high confluence areas for high probability reactions. I know this is where my key levels are. I know what I want to look for, right? So what I usually do is I say, hey, if I come up here and I see X confirmation, then I want to take a short. And I want to target, whatever the level is. Maybe that's your level you want to go down to, right? But if price is just kind of wiggling around doing some wonky stuff, right? Like for me personally, right? That's like I don't do anything, right? Now this is what people struggle with. Because this is where people go, oh, my God, I missed a draw. Oh, my God, I could make money. I could have made money. Everybody just wants to click the button, right? It's like high intensity. Like, they just want to, click the button. A lot of people can't sit on their hands. This is where the chop happens. This is where people lose their accounts just trying to. Now, if this is a 1 hour perspective, you're looking for your trade, it doesn't mean you can't go down to a lower time frame and take a scalp, right? Maybe break this into a volume profile, but the same thing would apply here. If you don't hit the value area high with your confirmations, you don't take the short. If you don't hit the value area low, there's no trade to be had here. There's no trade to be had here. You have to wait, right? Front run the low, there's no trade to be had. You just wait for the key level to get hit, right? So there's just nothing to do in there for me personally. It's if this, then that. If this, then that. If there's nothing happening and there's wonky price action, choppy, I'm sitting on my hands, right? You have to be okay not taking, like some days you won't take a trade, right? And again, it's not that you can't scalp the super low time frames. We just have to look at it in that perspective, right? And again, the same thing applies. Price action is fractal. There's no trade here. There's no trade here. There's no trade here. Only there, only there, only there, right? So it's a game of trapping, not a game of hunting, right? And then you have a plan. If price comes down here and it just melts through my level and I don't get my confirmation, well, then I simply sit out of the long position, right? And this is even more brutal for traders, new traders, because they're like, they might wait a long time for their level to get hit. Their level gets hit. There's no confirmation. There's no reason to take the trade. But what do people do? Nah, I'm impatient. This is they take the boredom trade, right? And then there's no confirmation. Very likely it doesn't play out. They get wrecked, right? But what should you do, right? Well, in my opinion, there's no reaction. There's no trade. You just wait for the next key level, right? Maybe you get the confirmation down here and you take the trade. Maybe you miss this, right? Or maybe you don't get the reaction, and then you could look for a retracement, right? But you have to have the setup, right? You have to say, where's my Fibonacci retracement? Maybe it's there. Maybe that's my key resistance. Do I have confirmation? Then I could take the short, right? You have to have some kind of a plan. But sometimes you just have to sit on your hands. I think that's one of the most difficult things new traders have, or difficult things new traders face, right? Like they just can't sit on their hands. It's just too difficult. So yeah, we just broke 72K. Still got the 45-minute red dot, 3-minute money flow crossover. Yeah, again, right? Like, do I have a key level here? Right, my key levels personally, right now. Again, I'm not saying you can't take a trade here. Like, you can take a trade wherever you want, right? But for me personally, I would always prefer to wait for my key levels to get hit. But what if it comes up from there, right? Well, there's always going to be another trade to take, right? You can end your trading day. Tomorrow you wake up, you have some consolidation, right? Maybe you wind up ranging around. Then you'll have context, and you could find some new setups, right? But for right now, I wouldn't say, for me personally, right, I just wouldn't really be interested in something here. Doesn't mean price won't move. Doesn't mean price won't dump. Doesn't mean price won't pump. Just not something I'd be interested in, right? Like, for example, trying to think of a good, like right here, right? Like for our short, and maybe I can bring this up from the Discord to kind of show you guys, but like right here, my key levels in this scenario were, for a short, I wanted to see the golden pocket POC tapped. This is where I wanted to look for the trade, right? So I did not take a trade anywhere here. Why? Does it mean you can't trade? You can take this trade. You can take this trade. But for my plan, I wanted to wait for this, right? So I'm just have my plan, right? You have to accept that you're not going to catch every candle up or down. It's not really how trading works, right? That's how you're going to ruin your account. So I say, I don't care if price bounces around here. I don't care if I miss this long. I don't care if I miss this short. I don't care if I miss this long, this short, this long, this short, this long, this long. I don't care if I miss this. I just want to see my key level tapped. I want to see the confirmations I want to see. Then we push into the level. I get the confirmations. I take my trade. Looking to go to the value area low, you go to the value area low. Does that mean that this was a bad trade? No, right? If I was on a lower time frame and I was looking at the market through that context and that was part of my plan, no, of course it would not be a bad trade, right? But you just kind of have to like pick your poison, right? Like where do you have your setup, right? You could look at a lower time frame and say, well, hey, I don't know, whatever you're looking at, right? You get your confirmation there. It doesn't have to be a volume profile. Maybe just whatever you're looking at, right? That'd be a beautiful short, right? This would be a beautiful long in that context, right? But you have to have a plan and understand that like you're always going to miss trades, right? The market moves 24/7, especially in crypto. So I sit on my hands. I don't care. Oh my God, I'm not going, oh my God, I missed the short. Oh my God, I missed the long, right? I'm just sitting there waiting. Oh, my key level got hit. My alert goes off. I look for the entry confirmation. Then I take the trade, right? Same thing here. Golden pocket, Fibonacci retracement. Golden pocket 786 was the level we wanted to see, right? I actually did not take this personally. I took the 98K and the 91K short. But like even here, right? I'm not interested in a short here. I'm not interested in a long here, personally. I'm not saying that price won't go up or down, right? But like, that's just not my plan. My plan is to look for a bounce off the value area low for an eventual lower high and lower low. I know this is where the lower high is likely to come in at, and my thought process, my plan is to get in on that lower high to then enjoy the bigger continuation to the downside. It was the same thing here. I just want to see the lower high, very likely to come in at the golden pocket 786, wound up coming in at the golden pocket for a continuation to the downside. Still holding that trade, right? Continued down. But again, right, doesn't mean you can't take a long here. Doesn't mean you can't take a long here. I actually did take, I believe, a scalp long on the live stream from one of these levels. But it's based off a different plan, right? I'm not just like holding this, hoping it goes up, right? It was like, well, hey, if we get into our next level, probably going to close that trade. Does that make sense? You have to have a plan. Trade the plan. I love 68.3 to 67K for a bounce. Not huge, though. Like 5 to 7K, maybe. Shout out to Creighton C. 67K would definitely be a big level. After 3 days going down in a row, it's less painful. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Where did I take profits on my Bitcoin short? On the 98K short, I believe I took profits at this value area low. And then on the 91K short, which was taken from here, I believe I took partial profits as we came down to test these lows. Still holding a portion of those trades. I'm going to be very long at 69,420. I'm not going to lie, guys. Bitcoin low-key likes the meme numbers. 69K? I thought that was funny. That, like, what hilarious fashion that Bitcoin tops out at 69K. Kind of wild. Shout out to Adriano. Says 61, 60, 59, 58, 57, 56. What is your favorite configuration or most profitable? I don't know if you mean by configuration like strategy. I would say volume profiles. I think if I had to identify as one single type of trader, if I had every trading tool except for one ripped out of my hands, I would have to choose the volume profiles to keep. If that's what you're asking. 67K short-term bottom. I mean, that's the next big key level support. 70 to 67K. Bitcoin was definitely created by Epstein. I will say, if we got, let's just say we didn't get that news already. Not that that was the news, but let's say we were like capitulating, and then like that was the news, and everyone was like, it's going to zero. Like, let's say it was like suspected that he was Satoshi. It's going to zero. I've seen the Satoshi. Oh my God, he's never going back up. That would be a huge buy signal for me. Little different situation right now. But if that were the situation, I would probably use that as a pretty nice confirmation as a buy signal. My favorite confirmation. It's different. It's difficult to answer that because every confirmations are oftentimes contextual, right? Like an SFP is only going to be a confirmation that I'm looking for if I have liquidity above or below that I'm sweeping. So I'm not always looking for a swing failure pattern, but if I did get SFPs are probably, in my opinion, the highest. If you know where to find them at and know where the high probability SFPs will be, I think SFPs would probably be my favorite because I think they have. I don't know. I can't answer that question really. But the reason I love SFPs is, number one, the theory behind why they work is very high probability. But it's just a very clear signal, right? You get the candle wick above, the candle closure below. Once your next candle confirms, right, or prints, once this candle confirms, there's your confirmation. And another reason they're very high probability. And another thing I love about them is that they have a very clear invalidation. The invalidation is above the SFP high. So not only do they have a super high hit rate, they also have a very clearly defined invalidation point. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite, but I would say that's definitely a top confirmation for me. Bouncing off the golden pocket from January 23rd, 2024. Yeah, it's there. It's a valid fib. Actually, let me just see something here. Yeah, it's definitely there. Re-swept the lows there. I was going to say, like, you tap that low barely. Like, you didn't really get a good sweep of it. $15-minute bull div looking to print potentially here. So, yeah, you could look at that as a key level. Not a ton of confluence, of course. Of course, also in the middle of a low volume gap, but that is a valid level. Pretty much what we bounced off of before as well. I think it tapped this like to the pixel. Look at that. And again, and then you sweep it. Definitely a valid level. So it's a long now. If I were to take a trade here, it would have to be a long. Again, that doesn't mean that I think it's a beautiful long. But what's happening? Bullish divergences, technical SFP, green dot looking to print. I would definitely wouldn't be shorting here, right? For me, like again, my shorts are from much like I would even like here would be a decent short, or here would be a decent short. Like I would never short as price goes down. Not financial advice, obviously. Looks like an Adam and Eve reversal. This actually looks kind of like an Adam and Eve. Let's see. Oh, 1 minute chart, long or short. I mean, I'm not going to tell you long or short. I'm not going to give a signal here. But same thing would apply. I mean, it depends on what your context is, right? Like, what is your plan here? I wouldn't be chasing like these moves personally. You got your money flow coming up on the 1 minute. So maybe get a little continuation of the uptrend. Not that I would personally long off of that. But you get that 1 minute money flow crossover with your 15-minute bull div and green dot printing. I'd be more inclined to long something off like this. And then just look at the 1 minute money flow as an anticipation of the continuation of the trend. I wanted to consider a long, but this money flow, it's thick in the red. Yeah. Shout out to India Martini. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, like, again, I'm just holding my shorts. I think even on a big retracement, I do think the bigger move down is probably more likely. But what I will say, right, if we do get a bounce from here, because I do have to hop out of here at some point soon. Let's see. Keep deleting this volume profile by accident. I mean, the hope there would be if you get a bounce, really you want to reclaim this value area low. 75,450. I think this is going to be pretty significant resistance. Got your golden pocket 786. Value area low confluence. If you get above that 786, I'd look for a potential push up towards the POC and value area high between 78,576, and 79,122. Those are the local levels. Value area high 79.71, POC 78,687, value area low 75,541. I noticed that a wick is 99% sure to bounce short term. The dip that keeps on dipping. Shout out to Daniel. Let's get that 1 minute money flow crossover. That red dot might be able to give you a little ebb flow back down. But yeah, 30-minute bull div. That's what I would look at, right? Like I would never, like you have to understand, like the green and red dots on like the 1 minute are like so insignificant from a big move perspective. Like red dot instantly swallowed by a green dot. The green dot moves you up like 0.003%. Red dot prints, then you get the big dump. But like these little ebbs and flows, green dot, right? Like you're gonna get a lot of chop on these lower time frames. But the way I would look at this is the 30-minute bull div, which is not printing yet. But of course, obviously, is what we looked at up here. Red dot prints, take out the low. You also have a 30-minute SFP confirmed now. Once you confirm this candle, you technically got the SFP here. But again, like for SFPs, I like to see a sweep of the level. It's not impossible to just like, barely sweep it and bounce. But of course, you end up getting the bigger sweep now. So technically, the confirmation of the SFP, you could say, was right here. But of course, you get the resweep. So, yeah, confirmation of this candle would kind of confirm that SFP. But if you wanted to front run the SFP, not financial advice, of course. But there's the 15-minute bull div, 1 hour money flow, 1 minute money flow crossing into the green. Continuation to the upside. 45-minute red dot has unprinted. Two-hour green dot may be able to print again. Oh, there it is. Fighting the 1 hour red dot. But again, look at the inversion. Right? It's not, I like to see these nice and rounded. Right? Look at this one. Nice and rounded, big move. Right? This kind of looks like it might want to fake out into a green dot. Right? Or just not print the red dot. So I think if you get the continued bounce here, this is the zone to look at. 74,855 to 75,814. Shout out to Brillo. Inverted VWAP. I explained this before. Like the 2 hour, right? We were printed the green dot before. Like if you still have it happening now. With the VWAPs, I like to see rounded VWAP, right? These inverted VWAPs say to me, right? Like you could even look at this one. I used this as an example before. Inverted VWAP kind of indicates to me that like you could get the green dot, but it kind of just wants to rotate back into the back into a red dot. Right, doesn't look strong. It's kind of like gonna sweep up and then come back down, which it does, right? And then look at your price action, right? You come up and then it kind of just rolls over. When you have like a nice rounded VWAP, that's typically where you can get like a bigger move to the upside. So when we saw the 2 hour green dot printing before, that was something that I said wasn't liking. It's part of the reason why we look for the red dot to take out the low. And there we are. Now you've taken out the low, got the bull div, which of course it's part of the reason we looked, was the reason we looked to take out the low. Because if that red dot prints, it looks like it wants to print a bull div. We drew the line like this. Now you have the sweep of the low and the bull div. Yeah, the bear market just sucks the enthusiasm out of everyone. Yeah, for sure. It's, I mean, because most people just want to hold their spot bags and make money, right? From a trading perspective, this is why I love being a trader, right? Like, we don't have to leave in the bear market. We can just hang out and just continue to trade. Because, of course, there's plenty of money to make on the moves down. That's when you're passionate about something like this, it's like and I think crypto has a very emotional kind of like team-based like feeling to it, where it's like, you know, XRP is trash. I hate XRP. Cardano's the best coin, right? Like it's a very like emotional market. And I think that's why it's kind of sucks the enthusiasm out of everybody. And like from a trading perspective, like that's why I love trading, because like you don't have to leave the market, right? It's like just as exciting, right? Like a move up like this, right? Obviously, percentage-wise, completely different, but like you go on down to a 1 minute, right? Like you just view it like this, like, oh my God, bull market, right? Like it's like the candles move up and down. Candles are price action is fractal, right? And like if you could just learn how to trade, like you kind of get that local enthusiasm, right? It's like, I'm long, this is awesome, right? But most people don't have the time. A lot of people don't have the time to learn how to trade, or the patience or the grit to actually do what's needed to learn how to actually make money trading. XRP bull div now. Shout out to OCB. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, XRP got this basically the same thing, right? Like pretty much anything you look at is going to kind of have the same thing going on, right? Lower lows. Actually, you didn't get the lower low or the sweep of the low on Ethereum. But yeah, like most stuff is going to kind of be almost the exact same thing. You get the lower lows, the higher lows, green dot looking to print. And there it is, 24-minute bull div printing, 30-minute probably following suit with the SFP. Maybe squeeze them. Maybe squeeze them a little bit. That's why I say, like, I just, like, rip the Band-Aid off, right? Like, I would love they just rip the dang Band-Aid off. Right? I'll tell you what, guys. I'm happier because we're not in this range. This will go down so far as my most, nice range. Took the trades, made the money, totally, like, fine from a trading perspective. But from a boredom, from, like, a content boredom perspective, this will go down as my most hated range ever. I was tired. There was nothing to talk about, especially, like, in here. Just nothing happening. Totally dead. Thank God the holidays happened in here. So at least you had a little bit of a break. But this is my most hated range. Just so boring. Nothing to say. Sentiment remained exactly the same. I just had to come up in here and sit and be like, yeah, guys, like plan all remains the same. Looks bearish. Big drop to the downside. Other than that, we're just bing-bonging around. I don't care if the TI doesn't play out and we go to all-time highs. Just get us out of this dang range. And we wound up getting the move down, but yeah, I would say, whoops. Just rip the Band-Aid off. But probably not going to be the case, in my opinion. I think it might just kind of bore people here. Well, back up. Oh, my God, bullish, bullish, bullish. Sideways for 2 months. Oh, bear. Oh, bullish. Oh, sideways. I hope that's not the case, guys. That would be brutal for me. That'd be so brutal. Shout out to Ray. Says, nice pump on BTC. Took a quick scalp long from 72K. Let's go, baby. Congrats. Worst range I've ever traded. Yeah, shout out to Mystic Ruin. Like, it wasn't even that wonky or anything, right? Like, took the long at 85K. Took the short here. Even took another long here on the POC retest. Took shorts up here. Just really the content perspective, right? Like, this was brutally long. 76 days of just, like, same situation. Same situation. I'd literally have to go down to, like, these time frames. These time frames to be like, oh, my God, maybe this will happen. But it's, like, just such small moves in the grand scheme of things. You should tell stories in moments like that. Sometimes I wish I could just tell people, like, the crazy stories of my life. I like to keep some things pretty private. But I have do I have stories? Good Lord. I'm just the guy that weird stuff happens to. Not boring if you're scalping. Yeah, like from a trading perspective, did not hate that at all. It's just like when you come on a live stream and you're trying to come up with some kind of narrative, right? Like the long-term narrative was weekly money flow coming out, eventual lower highs, lower lows to come in. And it's like, that's what makes the content so difficult, right? Because that sentiment was the same for 76 days. There was just nothing new to talk about. Even like the key levels above, the key levels below. Guys, if this breaks down and we make a massive new low, this is going to be the massive level I'm looking at. If we come up, 50-week moving average, right? Like, but other than that, it's like, takes me 5 minutes to explain that. And then like 76 days of just being like, same thing. Totally brutal. Shout out to Mr. J. He says, am I banned? Can you see my messages? Yeah, shout out to Mr. J. We can see you, bro. You are not banned. Shout out to BB Gun said, I'm down 13%, but only cost averaging, so not much loss yet. Yeah, shout out to you, brother. Jeez, that was 2 months. Didn't even realize. Yeah, shout out to Brillo. It felt like 6 months to me. Absolutely insane. Hated that. Like even this to me, right? Like almost the same thing that we looked at on the 30-minute or 24 and 30-minute to anticipate this new low for the bull div, which is now printing. Like this 90-minute almost looks like maybe kind of the same thing, right? Come up. It's a little too early to call that, but if this momentum wave comes up and starts doing this, as that red dot is looking to print, almost look at the same thing if you can come into that golden pocket 786. If it looks like that, right? I don't know if that's going to be the case, but could be very, very similar situation. Same technique, right? Yeah, bull div is printing. It's not confirmed yet, but it is printing right there. Yeah, like even the 45-minute could potentially be the same thing. What does that move? 252 or 2.5%. Let's see. Yeah, I still think if you're going to get the bigger move up, and that's 4-hour bull divs getting close to invalidation. So we'll see. If you get the retracement here, 786, golden pocket value area low. This is the next key level to watch. If you get the bigger retracement, that's the first major zone of resistance. Call it 74,899 to 70, almost 6K. Flip that 786, hold inside the value area. I would look for a bigger move up towards the POC value area high, sitting between 78, 687, and about 79, almost 1. Let me move this up a little bit. Yeah, about 79.1. This is the volume profile locally I would look at. If you can't get back inside this range, could be the new low coming. 4-hour green dot would be what I would look at for a significant retracement to come, right? For example, I don't want to try to explain exactly what is going to happen because, again, I don't know. But if you're able to get above that 786 value area low, and you start getting your 4-hour green dot, and this ends up being a bullish divergence, that could indicate the bigger move, right? I still wouldn't look at this as a serious sign of strength until we flip about 80,500. So there you go. And then obviously move to the downside, 70,000 to 67.3. Next major key level of support. I think whether you get the retracement first or not, I still think this is a very high probability level to come down and tap. Don't forget, you're in the low volume gap kind of scenario. Kind of already tapping into the shelf of volume, which could also be assisting this little, could also assist us on a little bounce if this wants to continue, right? If you look at this gap, the way I would mark this out is pretty much from this shelf to this shelf. And let me just hide everything else so it's all clean. Right? This is how I would mark out this low volume gap. So technically, you have filled it to the shelf. Right? Lose the lows, very likely fast move down. So we filled it to the shelf of volume here, or the cliff, whatever you want to call it. Come on. We filled it to the shelf of volume, but you have to understand that this PLC is the strongest magnet. So that's why I do still think that $67,000, $70,000 level could still be in store. And of course, weekly money flow, still bearish, right? Like the question is, can we get the retracement? Hopefully we can. But long term, right, still wouldn't say necessarily this would be the bottom. What are your indicators? This is Market Cipher is the oscillator on the bottom of the screen, and then I wouldn't really call it an indicator, but the other tool you see me using is the volume profile. What is the support at 70K? Is it a fib or something? We do have a... Let me just pull it up here real quick. Well, you do actually technically have the fib from back here, from the 23rd of January. I forgot who said to bring that up. I actually was looking at that before. But the only thing here is it's somewhat confluent with our... The way I look at it is always from a volume profile perspective. So the levels I'm looking at are going to be the value area high of the previous range, the POC of the previous range, and then you do have this kind of golden pocket sitting here, but this is also a golden pocket as well, right? Pulled from the lows here at $48,000 into the all-time high. Golden pocket, 786 retracement, value area high, POC, high volume node. You also have some other confluence in there as well. You have a daily, 2 dailies in there. You have a daily MPOC in there, a weekly MPOC in there, tons of confluence in here. So tons of levels there. All right. Long is very risky. Yeah, I would agree. I would just in the bearish environment that we're in. Remember, greedy with the shorts, conservative with the longs. I pulled my fib on the 23rd of January to Eskimo Pros. Shout out to KC. Shout out to OCV said, can you show a volume profile on Monero? I could do it very briefly because I do have to hop out of here. Yeah, to be honest, there's not really a clean volume profile to pull, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I mean, like, maybe you could pull this. Maybe you could pull this. But you really don't have you don't really have a clean volume profile up here. More of a trending nature. Yeah, I mean, like, even this is just like a trend. No real clean value. Like, even there, like, I mean, you got little tiny ranges in here, but no real, maybe this. Yeah, you don't really have a super clean volume profile here on Monero, at least locally. Maybe you could look at something like this, but like this is kind of, I don't know how much I like this. See if the levels were respected. Yeah, I mean, this would probably be the local profile I would watch. So you have your local profile at value area high 434.03, POC at 395.81, and then the value area low here at 372. This is kind of what you're bing-bonging around in right now, rejecting the POC, but bouncing from the value area low. So flip the POC, could be, next big level within the profile will be 434. Obviously, no guarantee you get up there, but that would be kind of the volume profile perspective locally. And then if you break down, I'd be looking down towards about 344 at the previous value area high. If you get accepted into that value area high, POC would be the next key level at 324.75. Lose that, look down to the low at 310.70. So those would be the two volume profiles I would look at. But again, like, this is just very, like, much a very trending nature. So take that for what it's worth. But that's what I would look at on Monero as far as the volume profiles. Shout out to OCB. Shout out to, I think it says so, Ken. It says, so I'm convinced it's a bear market, but I refuse to sell my BCH. Am I just an idiot, perhaps? Shout out to SoChem. In my head, I believe we've been in a bear market for a pretty decent time here. So, yeah. No, I wouldn't say you're an idiot. But, I mean, hey, listen, bro. Investing, especially in crypto, is very difficult, right? Like, it's a very easy thing to mess up. So, don't be too hard on yourself. Hashtag short stream. Shout out to Darren. Yeah, hashtag short stream. There we go. 3 hours. Literally was trying not to do that today. But there you go, guys. That's the sauce. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream, and we'll see. Biggest key levels down below, 70 to 69K. If we get the bigger push up, we're looking at 75 to 75, 814. Flip that level. We can look up towards 78.3 to about 79.1. So we'll see what happens here. I'll touch base with you guys tomorrow. We'll go live again I'm going to try to go live a little bit earlier tomorrow, and then it'll wind up being a 5-hour stream. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And these moves down, guys, they will not last forever. They will end at some point, I promise. And, hopefully hopefully it comes sooner than later, and we can start talking about looking for a potential bottom. We'll call it bottom watch. We'll make the thumbnail just bottom watch with me, like with binoculars or something. I don't know. But thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here for 3 hours covering the live price action. Shout out to Tommy. Shout out to Menace. Shout out to Carlo. Shout out to Silver Chain Gang, and shout out to Jesse, shout out to Darren, shout out to Tony D, shout out to Rudy, and last but not least, shout out to Full Melt Mike and Neon Visual. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I wouldn't say same place, same time, but some point tomorrow during the day. I'm going to try to go live a little bit earlier. That's all I got. Asta pasta. Make sure you take profit if you're in the green. Make sure you set your stop losses. Don't gamble, and trade the plan. That's all I got. Asta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out.